Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Overwatch All-Stars Brawl 4, presented, of course, always by Star Esports. In this double elimination tournament dedicated to the Overwatch Tier 3 community, today we're going to be having two teams pit up against each other, that being Celtic Cross and TSGMHC, or T-Dala is kind of what we decided to go with for fun there. And I'm going to be doing play-by-play today. I am Poor Zach, joined with me, got Moxie on color.
Hi guys, we're back for another season of Overwatch. I'm so looking forward to this. It feels like I haven't seen matches get cast in so long and so much has changed since then. But before we do, we're gonna have a little bit of an interview. We're joined today by Bosox. Hi Bosox.
Hello.
Oh, wonderful to have you. Good luck to your team. And do you want to just start by telling us just a little bit about these guys?
Sure. I am Bosox. I am the owner/manager of Celtic Cross Esports. This is our Revenant team, which is our Grandmaster team, our top OD squad. We've been a team for about 2 months now. We have a coach. His name is Anchor. And we brought him in, and ever since then, we've kind of just been putting all the pieces together. We just actually finalized our main support role with John. And I mean, these guys, we grind every day. Basically, I think we take maybe 1 day a week off of scrims. And here lately, we're doing a lot of double blocks, getting ready for this tournament and OD starting this weekend.
Well, you have a little bit of a strange way of recruiting your players, don't you? It's a little bit of everyone who hasn't really gotten the chances that they wanted to with other teams.
Yeah. A lot of that, when I started this back in March of 2018, I had worked with a couple of different orgs, and I saw how they only wanted names who were already established. And I came into this with the philosophy of, I'm going to give an opportunity to those that people might have overlooked, but they have that heart. I looked more for heart than I did mechanical skill, because mechanical skill can be taught, it can be coached, and it can be improved. If you don't have the heart to do the work, you're never going to make it. And that's what I looked for in these guys, was their attitudes and their drive. And that's kind of where all my decisions were based on when I started bringing people in.
Well, it's definitely a noble goal. I know there's a lot of teams where some players do feel a little bit shadowed over by the other players, and it really is nice to see those guys getting a chance. Is there anyone on the roster today that you can point out and say, this one is one to watch?
Well, I know the guys are going to probably hate on me if I don't pick all of them, but the big one that always seems to just come out of nowhere and surprise you is Sturban. If he gets loose, there's no telling what you're going to see.
Well, I wholeheartedly look forward to it, and I'm sure, Zach, you're just as hyped as I am.
Absolutely. I mean, before we actually started this interview, we were just kind of chatting with each other beforehand, talking about today's opponents and how you understand that they are a very good team, and going up against them, you know, it's not going to be an easy match. It should be good. So how did you guys kind of prepare going into this match? I know you said that you were doing like 2 block days, only taking 1 day a week off, you know, but how much of that time was spent to really focusing on like this team in particular?
Actually, we really didn't find much VOD to review on them. We just kind of basically just worked on our strategies that our coaches helped put in place. And we just said, this is what we're going in with. If this doesn't work, we adapt to this. And a lot of what we did was we put ourselves in situations where we had to adapt on the fly. So that way we were used to it. So if this doesn't work, we know what we're going to adapt to without having to talk about it. It's just second nature. It's seamless transition into the adaptations.
Yeah, and as you're talking about it, I hear more and more. So you guys aren't completely just going to be stuck on yourselves with just the pure meta. You know, you've experimented with other compositions that might be able to help out in case you find yourself in a tough spot. You know, is there anything super crazy that we might be able to look out for today, or is that something you might want to keep on the DL?
I kind of want to keep that close to the vest, but I can tell you right now, the one thing our guys are always like laughing, cutting up about is nobody knows really what to expect, because we're the king of just throwing crazy things at people, and it works.
All right. Well, hey, sounds good. Sounds like we're going to have a pretty good match. I'd say that really has to do with all the questions for me. Moxie, anything else before we are able to let them go?
I mean, I don't think I can really ask anything that doesn't reveal all of the team's secrets, and I would hate to do that because you'd probably have to kill me and every viewer at the moment if you told us. So best of luck. It's been wonderful hearing from you.
All right, thanks, and I want to give a big shout out to Star Esports for hosting this awesome tournament. We need more of these style tournaments going to help T3 keep growing. So I really appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, we appreciate having you here. Much love, man. Thanks so much for coming in for this interview.
All right, look forward to the broadcast.
All right.
Paul's like, it sounds as if we're not just going to get this dry cut Orisa Sigma, and I'm really looking forward to it, because when people say wacky and crazy, alarm bells start going off in my head, and I start thinking, are we going to get to see Hammond? Are we going to get to see some serious Wrecking Ball play?
Yeah, I mean, when they do talk about kind of going off meta and doing something a little bit crazy along with the compositions, Hammond is definitely someone that comes into mind, you know? You don't play necessarily direct eye with him, but if you pair him up with a Far Mercy, you know, it could be a very dangerous combination for a team to go up against.
And we're seeing some teams now actually pair Hammond up with Orisa, oddly enough, and they find value with it. It's not as if you would expect these two to go together. They go together like chalk and cheese, but somehow it works. The Orisa just goes on the front line, the Hammond goes into the back line, and the team's in so much chaos and fighting one fight on two fronts.
Yeah, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that because they're able to fight on the two fronts, you know, it's really hard to kind of stay focused on one side. You know, you're going to have to go in as a team if you're playing the double shield, all in on one specific target. Meanwhile, if you have someone shooting you behind, someone in front of you, and if you have that far in the sky, it's going to make that all the more difficult to actually find a way to deal with a composition like that. Not to say teams don't find a way to, but it definitely increases the difficulty of it.
Well, one thing that would maybe throw a little bit of a spanner in the works if you do run a Hammond is the Mei. We were talking a little bit earlier about it because she is now going to be hit with a couple of nerfs, but sadly this isn't the PDR patch, so she's still going to be in full force, in full strength today, and so it's more than likely that teams are going to be busting out that DPS to help them pick up points.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Mei's been such a stable character within these last few months, and I mean, I don't really see her going away very much anytime soon. She still seems to be super powerful, able to freeze multiple targets at once, and of course that slowing effect is definitely going to be what's going to be keeping that Hammond from kind of going in and causing all the havoc that he wants to cause, and really just start going forward into the momentum and just making sure that no one's getting displaced. You know, the wall also super powerful, but you know, I mean, when it really comes down to it, what is like a good counter to Mei?
That's the thing, there's nothing. There's no absolute hard counter to Mei in the ways that other heroes have their counters. Hammond has got the Sombra, Reinhardt gets shut down pretty quickly as well if he gets hacked, and Zen, well, dive was a thing for a very long time, and any Zen main will still have PTSD over those days when they got dived by a monkey and a diva. So Mei, she doesn't have anything which just immediately shuts her down, much like Widowmaker actually. The best counter to a Mei is another Mei. You have to get those walls up in reaction to when the enemy walls are going to be coming through to let your team get through those chokes without just being separated.
Yeah, and it just makes it so much more difficult, like you said, to play against. Like, since there is no real hard counters to Mei, you always have to run that Mei. So then it just kind of leads for, okay, well, what can we run in this second DPS slot? A lot of times you'll see a Reaper or a Hanzo. The Hanzo to kind of keep his distance from the Mei, and then a Reaper to get in close distance with the Mei to try to get the elimination quick, you know? And that's kind of that devil's advocate you got to play. It's like, okay, are we going to go all in, just rush the Mei? Are we going to like try to pick her up before we start the fight? And it can make it really difficult. And it really just comes down to what that DPS character or player rather would feel most comfortable with.
And we see Mei has a lot of different playstyles as well. You can go for the defensive Mei. You can try to support your supports in the back line by freezing everyone who tries to come in and kill them. Or you can go for that hyper-aggressive Mei that I'm sure more than a couple of us have busted out in quick play when we've just signed our souls over to the devil and found some poor wandering tank lost from the herd and just frozen them as they walk away. But we are going to be headed off into Oasis and seeing what exactly these teams are going with, whether or not they're going to be rigidly sticking to the meta which has been decreed as Orisa Sigma, Bat, Zen, Mei, and Hanzo with that occasional Reaper swap out that you mentioned.
Yeah, and before this match begins, we'd also like to let you guys know that when you vote for the MVP afterwards, whoever you vote for will be coming in for that post-match interview. So those votes, make sure that you get them in and get them ready for when you're seeing someone popping off, making plays, and maybe you want us to ask them a few questions afterwards as to how it went for them and kind of how their play style is. Maybe give you a little bit more insight as to what goes on in these player mind and what how you can bring things to your gameplay too.
Well, I'm looking forward to this, Pozak. It's been a while since I've got to see teams busting out seriously. And if what we're seeing right now is anything to go by, this is going to be one hell of a match because I see a Sombra, and I don't often see a Sombra in 2019 Overwatch, let alone 2020 Overwatch.
Yeah, I think Sombra, like we were talking about earlier against Hammond, could be really good. And this map in particular is an amazing map to run that Hammond on. So if they were to decide to go with Hammond on the enemy team, they're going to have a difficult time not only just trying to disturb everybody, but to see any value whatsoever to begin with.
Yeah, well, these Lucios are not going to be on the field for long. They just want to get that initial speed boost. There we go, in the pockets come, and the Pharahs, they're going to be duking out in the sky to see who gets that rain of crossfire.
Yeah, and right now it doesn't really look like one's favoring over the other. It looks like a few shots are being hit right now. This Hammond's coming in here, displacing as many targets as possible, but he gets pulled, and Anti-Nate is actually going to come out here and stop that Orisa from getting healing. Meanwhile, the dive is starting to initiate more and more. That Winston's putting through a lot of damage on that Tesla cannon, but of course that Immortality field to go down there is immediately stopping that.
Well, it's looking as if things are slipping in favor of Celtic Cross, but the picks are coming in on the side of T-Dot, and they're still not down yet.
Yeah, right now it's looking, what it was 50-50, now it just looks like it's going more over to their side. But it seems right now it looks like they're going to have to back off. Maybe this dive hasn't worked out the best for them quite yet.
Well, we're seeing a massive difference in the Pharah's ult charges at the moment. Oasis is 66%, Peanut lagging just a little bit behind, almost halfway behind, in fact. So if Oasis is able to get this barrage off and survive through it, he's only going to have to worry about the Winston bubble, and that is such a fleeting thing.
Yeah, and I mean, the Winston bubble, it's really good. It has a lot of like HP into it, but the issue is it's just so big, and when you're really playing Winston, you're up close and personal with somebody, and it can make it very difficult actually to put through that damage if they're just rushing you in your face. But right now, getting super low, actually the Baptiste going to go down before that Immortality is actually able to take anything. The Mercy goes in for the res, but she's actually going to get taken out for it, but not before Empathy's actually able to make himself back into this fight. And it looks like Big Nick also going down here. But the Winston with the Primal Rage is just absolutely harassing the Sigma. It looks like actually both of the Pharahs are going to be the ones that go down. But Ventego is absolutely shredding the field right now.
Oh, and Empathy invested the Batiste Amplification Matrix as well. That's an ultimate that you're not going to get back for just a little bit longer, especially now that you've swapped to a Moira. Odd enough, because Moira has been hit by the nerf, the sustainability is just not going to be there when you're running a Mercy in your second support.
Yeah, I think really the idea behind that is to just try to provide a lot of healing within a short amount of time, because she does have pretty good burst healing if you're able to throw out that healing orb and then just hit them with the mouse one. It can heal them up really quick, really fast, and it can negate a lot of that Winston damage. I think is mainly what they're going for, because when he comes in, of course he's going to be able to hit multiple targets at once, which is not exactly what they want to happen when you're doing it.
Well, T-Dollar, they're definitely wanting this barrage to come off without a hitch. They do have Dusk Sigma Flux to put in as well. And Celtic Cross, they're not running anything that can really provide all the HP through it, so this should hurt when they hit the ground.
Yeah, but Co3K was actually able to take out that Sombra before they got way too developed into this fight. The Nano Boost over onto Vitagio, it's not going to actually be able to pick up anything. It looks like John's actually able to be the one taking out the Pharah. But of course, both of the Mercy's rezzing is actually going to leave Peanut out in the open. And right now, Oasis looks like he's using that barrage. Doesn't really see too much from it. He's able to pick up that Hammond, though, at least. But it looks like Hero right now is the one that's getting those final eliminations.
Oh, they put so much into it, though, Pozak. And so when Celtic Cross come back into this, they're going to be running in with an EMP. So it's going to be up to Empathy to time the Coalescence popping just right. Otherwise, you could get immediately shut down in that one ultimate.
Yeah, but right now, looking up, coming on to this next fight, it looks like Celtic is going to have the advantage here. They're going to have about 3 ultimates in that barrage, which could be absolutely deadly. You know, it's going to be a hard one to block, but as long as Dusk is able to throw that shield up, but that's going to be very hard when that EMP comes out, and you're not quite able to do much. Your shield is gone now for Dusk. He's stuck at the top, but actually Peanut's going to be the only one taken down him before they can use that barrage. This is last fight territory. You really need to be up right about now. Thankfully for them, they're able to get out Hero, but the pulse bomb, Co3K over in the back actually able to take out Cyril on that on, and now they have no supports, and the tank lineup is looking very low. Ventego had to use his ultimate to try to make it to the point in time, but just not quite able to get on there, cause that overtime. Peanut still holding on to that barrage, unfortunately.
Sturban, we were promised that he was going to be one of those players to watch, but he took so long to build up that one EMP all round. And when you come into an EMP, you really want to have something to immediately clean up with. And the Pharah being taken out before the barrage can hit just immediately scuppered all of Celtic Cross's plans.
Yeah, that was that one fight. They had that opportunity. It was there right in front of their face, but unfortunately, Peanut was just taken out a little too quickly. And of course, now, since they didn't have any of that follow-up, unfortunately, just with the time, more sustain was definitely on that double shield, and that's what it usually is. Normally, it's very hard to keep sustain on a dive, so they were able to just power themselves through it and bring themselves into this next round with that W.
But they're not going to be running the Pharah. We're going to be seeing two Maze out on the field. The only difference being Kofrike on the Reaper, Sturban on the Hanzo. Have to give it to the Hanzo at the moment. Just being out of the action means less chance to get taken out of the fight.
But speaking about getting taken out of the fight, an amazing pull now makes this into a 6v3. The Immortality already being used. John just harassing Empathy right now on that bat, but of course, he's going to get taken out immediately. Right now, it looks like pretty much numbers even so far. Sturban's able to pick up Co3K. Now going in there, it looks like this is probably going to be Celtic's fight. Now taking everyone out, they just have to back up and make sure they don't get themselves staggered here, but Sturban is just absolutely killing everybody.
Okay, so apparently what this guy lacks in his Sombra in the last round, he brought to the table his Hanzo. 54% to that first dragon with Big Nick on that Orisa. You do have the opportunity for the pull, so it's not just going to be a zoning. Oh, you can absolutely get picks off it.
Yeah, now as they make their way up here, trying to go a little bit faster here, make sure that they're going to be able to get Sturban out of that area. They're staying really close, though. They're trying to keep far away because they know the fact that since they had that Reaper before, they wanted to be careful of that. But the Maywar right now looks like they're going to be able to split them off. The pin into the counter charge is actually going to be able to take out Ventagio. And now it looks like Sturban's actually able to get another kill here. Pretty good. Hold into the pit now. The fight looking more on Celtic's side. But they got to be careful right now. Co3K over on the side. Looks like he's going to be able to take one out. Everybody's just stuck behind this ice wall right now. Co3K is just getting super aggressive on Cyril. And it looks like he's not going to be able to make himself stay up for much longer. Now the tank's on point, just trying to keep themselves up. But a great pin to get him down low. And it looks like John's just going to have to try to hurry up and run back.
T-Dollar finally going to be taking up presence on this point. Hero does have the Shatter. You are going to have to worry about putting it into two shields, so there is opportunity for it to be blocked, but you do have that potential Co3K coming up to this dragon as that cleanup.
Yeah, and going into this next fight here, we see that the Shatters are online for both these Reinhardts. It's going to be interesting to see the little bit of that tiptoe battle they're going to have here, but Dusk stuck on the opposite side of the wall. The Shatter comes through, but no one's there to get it connected to. Both these Immortality fields being down right now. It's going to make it a lot harder for both these teams to try to keep themselves sustained, but this Bongo providing so much support right now, giving them so much damage. But that Dragon Strike to try to stop them from coming into the point. The Fire Strike through the Amplification Matrix only met with a Blizzard from the enemy team. But right now, Co3K is just absolutely taking everybody out. These DPS are making sure that everybody's going down. And it looks like the Shadow's going to come through. It's going to be able to get 3, but are they going to be able to amplify anything on that? It looks like they are going to a little bit here. They're going to invest the Tranquility to try to get something done, but he falls over into the hole. I think he got booped down there. So, of course, Empathy just gets immediately taken out because it's a 1v3. Flapjack needs to hurry up and get back over behind that shield before he himself is taken out. But of course, this point hasn't flipped just yet. They're still stalling it out. Dusk with that Fortify. And of course, Co3K comes back in, is able to take out John with the first shot. That Amplification Matrix trying to shred through that shield and shred through Hero. But of course, now the Blizzard is also following that up. That Immortality field is now going to be going down here. The Maze are kind of tiptoeing around each other right now. Very, very close. They have to be careful, but Peanut goes down. It looks like this fight might actually come back in the side of T-Dollar, but at what cost?
Oh, T-Dollar, they put in so much else, but they're holding on to it, and so really it's Celtic who are going to be feeling the pain when you think about all of the else that they put in themselves to try to get that flip in. It means that they've only got a dragon to work with, and Ko3K is going to have the advantage in that because he's already set up. He can go for a sneaky little back dragon if he so chooses.
Yeah, but speaking about going for a sneaky little back dragon, one comes out right now, and Hero's already down. He's fallen himself off the map here. What could have been a last fight, now it's turned into a 4v6 that looks like it's just going to keep going up in numbers on the side of Celtic. Looks like everybody's actually going to be going down. Dusk is just going to get out of there on that Hammond, actually. Or maybe he's going to go back in.
But pause, like, they only have to win one more fight, and with only 53% on the board for Celtic, it's going to be so hard to keep yourself alive, especially when you've got this dragon and this amplification matrix coming in. And even then, you're going to have to deal with Oasis, who's trying to get this Blizzard online as fast as you can. John absolutely has to be on point with the sign barrier, otherwise his team, this map, they're just gone.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at these ultimates, they definitely have them on the side of T Dollar to kind of make their way through here. As long as Peanut stays up, they're getting super close to these ultimates. If they do a fast engage right now, it's definitely how they're going to want to take it. This amplification matrix is out the wall to stick them there. They have to use that immortality field, otherwise they're going to be going down a lot faster than they want to. These shields already broken, the Dragon coming through, but of course the Blizzard from behind on Peanut's going to be able to get quite a few, but gets taken down themselves. But of course this wall is still stuck up there to try to make sure nothing gets followed up right now. Numbers pretty even. 2 damaged dealers are out of the fight right now. This amplification matrix actually stopped by a Maywall put in front of it, but this bongo is going to be there. The numbers in the fight seem to stay the same here as they slowly go down one by one, but the Blizzard coming through here right now by Oasis is just making sure that no one's able to move. Just gives free damage to everybody. It looks like Peanut's going to be going down. That immortality, trying to keep those tanks up on the point. Slyrold finally gets back here on the Baptiste, but it's too little too late. All the healing that he can provide while stuck behind that wall is little to none. They have to try to make his shots over. Everybody walled off on the other side right now, just trying to get themselves a little bit more sustained. That Dragon coming through, though, is going to do a little bit of damage, but not enough to really get anybody out. Sturban's actually the only one that's going to be out. Because of that, no one gets on point in time, unfortunately. But even then, T-Dollar was bound to take that one.
It was a risky play that Celtic tried. They got off the point thinking that maybe if they gave that flip, allowed that to go through, they would have time to regroup and come in for a proper contest. But all that happens is that they have to just stagger onto the point one by one to make sure that the overtime bar just doesn't tick down immediately. And that means that they don't really get the chance to properly muster a defense.
Yeah, it was going to be a really tough one there for them. So now going forward, they got to think to themselves, okay, well, how can we try to outplay that a little bit better? You know, they talked about their team all about adaptability. So going into these next matches, I'd like to see what they do differently.
We didn't really see the adaptability. We saw it at the beginning when we got to see the switch from Sombra to Hanzo. But other than that, it was very much, even if they lost a fight, they still came back in with what they had. And honestly, the immortality fields, while yes, they've been good at keeping people alive through ultimates, they've also sometimes been on the wrong target. There was a moment there in that Blizzard where the Orisa is the one who's caught out in the Blizzard. The Rein is able to charge on through, but the immortality field goes on to the Rein, who's able to disengage, while the Orisa just freezes away less than a meter away from the lamp.
Yeah, that's something you got to be really careful about. I mean, those immortalities, it's really tough because it is just kind of like using an ultimate. It is on a pretty solid cooldown of about 20 seconds, but I mean, still though, even every time you use it, you're looking for that max value, and sometimes it may not be super clear in the moment, but then afterwards you're going to be able to see that, okay, well, I think we were more fine over here by the side, but meanwhile, all the way over at that other corner of the point, they really needed it, whoever that may be, like that Orisa, or maybe it was going to be a Mei somewhere else. You know, it just kind of depends on who really needs it at that time, and in moments, sometimes it's everybody who needs it. So you just gotta kind of have to make a quick decision of, okay, well, who's it gonna go to, and is this gonna be helpful? And you just kind of have to hope.
Well, hindsight is a wonderful thing, but they did say that they were expecting this to be a tough matchup, did Celtic Cross. So who knows, maybe we'll see them come alive a little bit more in this next map. They've had a little bit of time to figure their opponents out because, again, they did say they didn't really get to see many VODs of these guys play, so they haven't actually got to properly prepare for the actual players that they've been going up against. It's just been hypothetical situations.
Yeah, and to start off here on Oasis is actually probably a pretty good way to kind of feel out your opponents and understand their play style, because, you know, King of the Hill maps kind of have their teams more raw kind of play style in it, because it's like you're attacking and you're defending all within very small round spans. And then, of course, while you're going to be changing up the map, it could completely change the play style, even though you're playing on the same map. Technically, in my opinion, it's like playing 3 maps in one. It's kind of crazy at times. So you can really start to feel your opponents and understand how they play on different settings.
I mean, for sure, you wouldn't, if you're a defending team on, say, Hanamura, play the Bastion that you wouldn't take on to attack. So you do have to mix up the styles depending on which side of the battle you're currently standing on. So whether or not Celtic Cross have been able to get that feel out, it's definitely going to be a lot clearer as we head into Hanamura.
Yeah, and let's hope so. And also keep your mind and eyes open for your MVP vote. Remember, they will be coming in here afterwards for an interview. And while we're still in some downtime, let me remind you guys, Star Esports, you can follow us here on Twitch. Subscribe if you have the means to. We'd really appreciate it. You can find us over on Twitter. We also have a YouTube where we upload all of these VODs, so you can go back and watch these players play again, maybe if you missed something, or if you're just a coach trying to find some VODs on some teams you may be going up against. And, you know, don't forget that at the end, MVP interview, so keep your eyes out.
I mean, my money's on Sturban at the moment. His team perhaps may not be doing quite as well as they could be, but this guy, he's tried with Hanzo. He's tried his little heart out, and it's come across in all of the picks that he's been getting.
Yeah, I mean, Sturban's really been going hard, making sure that they're going to be able to secure these kills. Sometimes it feels like Sturban's just kind of not where they expect him to be. It's like he'll come from main, but then he'll swap over to like the complete other side and get like an off angle on them. So then, of course, they have to turn their heads over to the side, swivel over to him. Meanwhile, the rest of the team now starts walking forward because he's gotten that pick.
Well, it's gonna be Sturban picking up the Hanzo once again, so definitely gonna be looking to open things up for his team with those nice Dragon Strikes, cutting through the enemy, and it's gonna be the two Meis. There's no counter to Mei, unlike another Mei, so it's gonna be up to Oasis and Peanut really to feel each other out and get those counter walls coming in to help their teams out.
Yeah, Mei almost feels super necessary here on Hanamura because of that small choke that they have to go through, and of course they only have that one line. So even sometimes, maybe if you want to kind of bypass that Mei, maybe you decide to go with Symmetra. Doesn't look like that's what they're going to decide to do here. They're just going to use that wall and just slowly push up here through the little house on the left.
Well, they do manage to get into that house on the left without losing anyone, but oh no! I spoke too soon. It's actually Ko3K who goes down though. So definitely opportunity for these guys to start moving in for the kill.
Yeah, but now the wall and the immortality both being used right now, getting super aggressive. And it looks like everybody on the side of T-Dollars is just going to be making their way in slowly but surely here, just taking one out by one. Doesn't look like anybody's actually going to go down on their side.
And that's going to be a really nice fast point take on Hanamura. In fact, hardly anything was mustered on the side of T-Dollar. Not exactly what we've been seeing from these guys so far. And so if you are Celtic Cross, you're going to be coming into this with an amplification matrix ready to go. The first ultimate on the board. And that is a huge boon to the amount of damage that's going to be coming out in comparison to your enemy.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tough one to kind of go up against. That amplification matrix can be very strong. And I mean, the Baptiste is going to be able to put through so much damage, whether he decides to use it more mainly for just himself or maybe to try to get some amplification through the Hanzo if they want to go up top, something like that. But it looks like they're just taking their way slowly around the right side here to point. And of course, they're going to notice that and position themselves back over on the point. The amplification matrix has been used, but maybe it was too little too late. Teo already getting taken down. They still have it up for a little bit longer. Try to get a pick there, but it looks like the only one that's going to get picked is Big Nick. And now, of course, it's just the four of them stuck in this little area. The Mei wall keeping them all close together here. So it looks like this first offensive push is going to be down in Dusk. Wow, all right, just pick up a quick little 3K at the end there.
I guess John just hadn't cleaned the window today because it's just T-Dollar taking advantage of the team just being cramped up in that corner, and now they've held on, they've prevented the snowball, and look at the rewards that they've got for it, Paws. Like, they've got an amplification matrix of their own, but more importantly, they have a Blizzard, and Slayer does not have the Transcendence online, so if the defense act fast, then they can absolutely collapse in on the attackers before that one comes online and just reap the benefits of all those popsicles.
Yeah, I mean, right now, T-Dollar is almost at literally everything. They are going to have it by the time they make their way in here for this offensive push on the side of Celtic. Meanwhile, it's just going to be a few more ultimates met with that, but it looks like they're waiting, actually, to get a little more aggressive for when they get that Zen ultimate. Going in right now, though, that Immortality, a great answer to it, but it's going to be completely nullified, I think, by that Mei wall, actually. That's an amazing use of abilities just to make sure that they can secure this point. I mean, an amazing Dragon. They used the wall to stop the Immortality from even getting to anybody. That was perfect.
I mean, I think they even bigger that just a little bit more. They put the Mei wall down so no one saw the Orisa pull. And then they all just got dragged into the Dragon's Way.
Very difficult to kind of go up against here, but it looks like they finally made their way onto the point, capping with a pretty fair good time bank of 4 minutes.
Really nice from these guys. Definitely almost an entirely different team from what we've been seeing. And Sturban, again, popping off, but they had a Orisa pull. The cleverness, and not only that, but waiting until your Zen gets Transcendence up, not just immediately jumping onto the point with that bloodthirst that we see a couple of teams sometimes go for. These guys have showed reservation, and they get so much rewards because of it.
Yeah, and I mean, now going up, I mean, with 4 minutes, you know, that's got to be a little bit mentally deteriorating, you know. It felt like you guys had a pretty good defense going there. You put up that Immortality field, you're like, aha, we outplayed him, but then that Mei wall comes up, just completely stopping everything. It's just kind of like, oh, okay, well, how do we do better on our next defense? Hopefully, if they go through here with a solid offense, I imagine they're going to be running nearly the same exact thing with that Mei, of course, because like you said, you need the Mei to counter the Mei. It's just necessary unless they wanted to go with a Symmetra to make themselves get to points super fast.
I mean, it's just one of those statements of Overwatch. You need a Withered Cannon or Widow, you need a Mate Cannon or a Mate. It's just the way the world works. And so they are going to be needing to pick up this point in record-breaking time, really, if they want to match the clock that was just set before them. It's a daunting task, but we've seen that these guys can handle what Celtic Cross have thrown at them before. So I have no doubt that they'll be able to adapt to the situation as it's called for.
Yeah, and something I kind of wish that we were being able to see here today was a Lucio instead of a Zen with like that speed boost. We saw it a little bit yesterday with some of the matches, and I really like Lucio. I think he's a good fit if you want to go on the offense here and try to make a quick push inside. It doesn't look like the teams are going to be able to decide to do that, or they're not going to be able to. They're just not going to want to do it. You know, and of course that's not exactly the most NA thing from what we talked about earlier. It was more of kind of like an EU strat when we got that interview. So maybe we'll see more of it in the future, but as of right now, we're going to be sticking to this Zen.
Well, it's a little bit of a trade-off because Silent Barrier is not as strong in Ultimate as Transcendence, while the Silent Barrier Speed Boost does allow you to get away from that Maywall without being sectioned up.
Yeah, and now these teams are just kind of picking at each other. Of course, they got to wait for Dusk to come back here before they can make their way up, and just this time bank slowly draining down more and more. They got to make sure they get it in this next push if they want to even try to get the exact same time bank that they're going to have on the other side. So it's going to make it a little bit more difficult for them. The spam coming through, but of course, that amplification matrix stopped by that Maywall. They're just going to line of sight that. But it looks like actually they're going to be able to pick up one kill before that happens. But of course, it's going to be met with another one onto Oasis here with the amplification matrix out a little bit later. Hero stuck behind that Maywall is going to get taken out there. And already it looks like T-Liar is going to have to walk themselves all the way back to spawn and wait for that.
Oh, T-Dollar, they thought that was that opening. They put that window down. They were ready to commit to the push, but they lose Oasis, and so they don't get to build up that Blizzard. And now these mates, they're matching each other on ultimate charge, so it's going to be up to both of these Zens. Who's going to get Transcendence online first? Which one team is going to be allowed to go as aggressive as they want to?
Yeah, it's going to make it very difficult. They have the Dragon Strike coming up here. Of course, Big Nick almost has that bongo that they're going to be able to use in a second. I don't think they're going to decide to use that just yet. Of course, now here comes the pull. Doesn't look like it's actually going to be able to pick up anybody, but Big Nick is very out of position because of it. And that Maywall, of course, stopping him from going anywhere. That Immortality seemed like it was in a pretty good place, but a few people were just outside of it, not quite able to do much. It looks like now is finally going to be their time to take this point.
Yeah, T-Dollar managing to pick it up, but with 1 minute 59 in the bank, and it's still trying to tick up. So not quite as fast a time bank, and you're not really going to have the opportunity to get that snowball going, especially when Celtic Cross, you look across that board of ultimates, they've got so many to just pick and choose from. Although Empathy, he's got the Transcendence, Slayer does not. So you do have that window of opportunity if you can get in fast enough.
Yeah, and they're just trying to make their way to the point here to try to match the times, but the Maywall is really good now, not only cutting off that Matrix, but also the Transcendence to stop everyone on point from getting all of that healing. A very good Maywall, which is kind of the story of today's match, it feels like. All these great Maywalls here to stop everything from going through from Peanut.
Empathy uses the Transcendence just a little bit too early, in my opinion. Doesn't really wait for that May Blizzard to hit. Tries to let his team go aggressively and gets punished for it. And now both of these Sigmas are free to actually get some picks up from the ultimates. They don't have to worry about pesky support's defense managing to save their team. So whoever's circle is going to be able to pick anyone up is really going to have the advantage here.
Yeah, but they got to make sure they still take out that Immortality field. Meanwhile, while that Transcendence may be down, of course, that Immortality field on that 20-second cooldown is going to be ready every single time for that. So it's going to all be about baiting it out or trying to destroy it as fast as possible. And it looks like right now Dusk is going to use his, throw it up. They put down that Immortality, but it's stuck by that Maywall. Just like before, it's able to actually to get one of the tanks here, but that Dragon comes through, able to pick up Empathy. The picks right now going side to side, left and right. No one really seems like they're in the way right now, but that bongo going through here, it looks like T-Dollar probably going to be able to manage this defense here, or possibly kept this point is not going to be an option.
You do put down your bongo, and that puts down so much damage, but you do it when half your team are dead. Honestly, it's such a bad move. You should have kept it for your next push. Maybe allowed Kofrike to get that Dragon up just a little bit faster with all the amount of damage that you're doing. And so now it's advantage to Celtic Cross. It's 2 minutes 58 in the bank. You've already beaten your opponent's time. Even if they manage to take this point, they've got the Flux, they've got the Amplification Matrix. They do have to bait the lamp out if they want to find value. But Baptiste, they get quite twitchy when it comes to lamps when their tanks start going to critical.
Yeah, right now, of course, That amplification matrix to get them here while they're stuck in this little sight line, just trying to make their way out. They're very split right now. That immortality field is up from both sides, but now both taken down. And the first one down right now is Flabberjack, and now follows with Dusk. It looks like T3 again have stopped their, or T$, T3. T$ has stopped their push here, and gonna have to go back to spawn and rethink that.
Flabberjack is left just a little bit flabbergasted after he finds like what happens when you put your lamp down just a little bit too early. The Sigma is immediately gonna flux your team now that he knows he can actually get a pick off it. And Peanut, he's got the Blizzard. So again, it's gonna be down to this massive ultimate. You can win the team fight off it. Oasis coming up to one himself. But Slayer is so much closer to Transcendence, and Empathy just hasn't really been able to get the damage done to build that up. So you're looking like you're just going to get shut out of the door again.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going again for this middle approach here. Peanut immediately using that Blizzard, notices that. I think it might be worth it, even though he had to sacrifice himself here, as long as this wall goes down in time. And yeah, it definitely is. Of course, they don't have that immortality up, and now all that damage can come through with no defensive help.
And you win one team fight off one ultimate. That is absolute picture-perfect ultimate economy. Now they've got the bongos. Now they've got the dragons. Now they've got Transcendence. They can just cycle through these ultimates one by one, put bongos down, dissuade T$ from approaching, put dragon through, zone them off, cut them out, then collapse in on the ones who were separated. Transcendence, gonna see you through a Blizzard. You know that you've got this one in the pocket in case things start getting hairy for your team. And with 1 minute on the clock, things are really starting to look hairy for T$.
Yeah, and now they're just slowly trying to make their way up here through the left side again, but now Sturban takes out Hero before the push can even happen. The Maywall to knock 3 of themselves off, stuck over there. The Blizzard is actually going to be the one that's forced out right now, and not really probably the best decision one could make. Maybe a little bit of a fat finger, or just thought that they had a little bit more of an advantage than what they actually did. They're probably going to want that one back because they're coming up on the last fight territory here.
And they're getting staggered out as well. T$ don't disengage as cleanly as they should. They should have put the Blizzard down and then immediately got out of dodge as fast as they possibly could. They've got 29 seconds. They lose Ko3K on the tail end of that. They lose Flabberjack, who has to push himself off the map to try to get to his team. And oh no, 18 seconds left for Zach. Things that's not looking good for this team.
Yeah, but so many ultimates, though, they just kind of have to hope that they're going to be able to do it. But, of course, since they're all split up, they have to go in here with only 3 of them through the main right now, using as many things as they can to try to keep themselves up. But, unfortunately, Dusk is going to go down here. The Dragon comes through. It might actually be able to pick up the Orisa. It doesn't look like it's actually going to be able to do just that. But, of course, all these ults coming through here is making it very difficult to attack and defend. Now it looks like it's just going to be the 2 players left here. Flabberjack just trying to hold it out on the point while he's getting frozen, jumping up and down. Ko3K really the only one left, and it looks like that's going to be the end of Hanamura.
Okay, these teams are looking so much closer. It seems as if Celtic Cross have really woken up and just locked down and knuckled down on what their enemy is throwing at them, and they've come out on the other side showing us that they're more than prepared to take this to many, many, many more maps.
Yeah, very good. First off, the offense was absolutely insane by Celtic, and then their defense, of course, making sure that they use the right ultimates at the right times, and the ability usage, especially from Peanut with the Maywalls, I feel like were just absolutely insane in this Hanamura match.
I mean, these DPS, they've really been popping off. Sacrificing yourself for the betterment of your team. Not a lot of players would do it on ladder, but in team play, you do get to see those hero plays. But, I mean, we have to talk about the tanks as well. They have so much restraint. They wait until they know that their ultimates can actually get value before investing them. And some of these pulls from that Orisa just, it actually boggles my mind to see exactly how strong that pull ability can be when used in those hands.
Yeah, the team play today all around has been really good. Just making sure that they stay coordinated with themselves and not really, it feels like, over or under engaging. They're making sure that, like I said before, that they're just doing the right things at the right time. While more towards the end, we saw that T$ was just kind of being a little bit more, I don't know, it felt like passive for the most part. And then it was like, okay, now we really need to get aggressive. But it's like you've already gotten down 1 or 2 players and just kind of like, I don't really know, what they wanted to go with there. They kind of stalled themselves out of the end. So now they were split for the last push. So all in all, they did a really good job first on Oasis, but now on Hanamura, it just kind of felt like Celtic was able to kind of figure out, how we can stall them out and get that off angle over with Sturban, and then Peanut, of course, making sure that they're going to be able to go in and just do crazy plays. Right now, Celtic are looking absolutely fantastic.
I mean, I think T$ kind of got a little bit spooked by Celtic managing to take Hanamura A as quickly as they did. They just fell apart under the pressure, and then they continued to just crack and crumble when it came to their attack. Because they made a couple of mistakes that you don't really expect players at this level to make. And if they can pull it back, then we'll be seeing the same team that we saw in Oasis. If they continue to crumble, then it's just going to be a downhill slide for these guys.
Yeah, I feel like right now their main priority should be to make sure that there's not going to be any early picks on their side. Maybe they are standing in a little bit unfavorable positions, possibly that's getting them picked off, or maybe they're just finding themselves in these awkward scenarios with a pole or a Mei wall. So it's all just going to be about positioning right now, I feel like, for the side of T-Dollar, to make sure the same thing didn't happen like it did on Hanamura, where you just had someone get caught out a little bit too far, 5v6, and then it just starts steamrolling from there.
Yeah, and don't forget, guys, keep voting for your MVP. I know that there's so many people that I would like to elect myself, but unfortunately, we can't interview a whole team. So do keep us in the know. Who do you want to hear from? What questions do you have? Do you need that burning answer of how these Maywalls are just being set up so sick? Do keep voting, guys. And I mean, Pozak, we have to talk about this, right? These guys, they said that they weren't really gonna be sticking to meta rigidly. I'm looking across the board and I'm seeing two teams sticking to meta rigidly.
Well, I think right now they feel very comfortable with it after that win on Hanamura. So I mean, if it's working, not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, but that's something just not quite right about looking across two teams going on to Rialto and not seeing a Hammond in the lineup, because there are so many opportunities for those environmental kills. But then again, you can't just pull people into the river, so why even bother?
Yeah, and I mean, the Farm Mercy right now is probably what I'm going to be trying to keep my eye on. Really, the only thing that's going to be able to counter that is that Widowmaker that we now see Sturban swap over to. Of course, now Oasis is going to have to be very careful, play around these walls and make sure they don't get picked off. But the first one to actually get picked off here is Peanut over on the Mei. And now they're probably going to try to get a little more aggressive into that, knowing that they have the upper hand. Actually going to decide to back off. They don't want to overcommit here, it looks like, and just make sure that they understand that their ground is their ground. Make sure they can try to take out one other person. They're trying to stay a little bit farther away. They noticed that when they were getting in close and that Mei wall goes out, that always someone was getting picked. So just trying to keep a little bit more of a distance for a little while longer, then finally probably going to be able to go in for a strike.
But they've waited too long. John's the one who gets the amplification matrix up in time, and Empathy only 40% away. So this is all the opportunity that Celtic Cross need to just start collapsing in on T-Dollar.
Yeah, Co3K right there was actually super deep. No one's going to be able to do anything, and now the Mercy's making a run for a res right now and actually able to get that, but now they know that they're behind. So are they going to be able to make their way around without getting caught out? It looks like they are, because Afar is going to pick them up, but it doesn't look like, since they had any of that healing, that it's going to be very difficult for them.
But that's what happens. That's the risk that you run when you put that Mercy in. You know that she's got less healing. You know that she's going to be away from the team 24/7 on that Pharah. So you do have to put all of your eggs into the healing of the Batiste. So if he gets taken out of the fight early, your support is just poof, cut off completely.
Yeah, and speaking of getting cut off completely, this Mei wall in front of the Matrix to stop anything from happening, and actually a body block coming through to keep people off the card along with a freeze now. So a pretty fast first point cap for Rialto here. But now they just kind of try to keep going for. Actually, it wasn't capped. It made the noise like it was. That's very weird. Okay, well, they're 0.01. It's still contested. They're going to keep going for it, though. It looks like they're going to be able to continue the push. Now it's finally capped. And all in all, pretty good first push here.
And they've got ultimates to put this payload keep going all around the corners. In fact, they've got 6. Pozak, I'm not miscounting. They've got all of them. They've got the big 6. And so if you are T-Dollar, you have to start coming into these fights aggressive and pulling them out.
And speaking of aggressive, the first pick now, the Widow 1v1 has been won by Co3K. That's going to be their opportunity to start going in here a little bit more. That Bongo being placed down, the pole comes through, but Peanut hiding over on the side. But no one seemed to be ready for that barrage to come through. Actually, I take that back. He's got that Tranquility up just in time for it. And it looks like with the Blizzard coming through now again, they're going to be making their way through this point a little bit faster even now.
And we saw that they had 6 ultimates, and yet they've still got a Sigma Flux. In fact, both of these teams still have the Sigma Flux, but we do actually see that one team uses 5 while the other uses, well, 4. And so you do have that restraint once more that we're seeing from Celtic Cross, and they managed to get B as well. It's just T-Dollar, they've been carried, their tails between their legs, they're playing so passively at the moment.
Yeah, they're playing a little too passively, like you just said, and I mean, You know, why is that? Is there something they're trying to look out for? I mean, they get an amazing pick. Okay, Ko3K has got a great pick right now, but it doesn't look like they're pushing up. They're just keeping their ground. I think it's just because right now they know they can't push forward too much because of that Orisa already, so they kind of have to back off. So, but I think if they really wanted to, they could go in there a little bit more and try to get more kills. It looks like Ko3K is trying to do something like that. We've seen him go out there on the snipers a little aggressive before and actually get caught out for it because none of the team's actually there with a follow-up.
Well, John was separated from the team, not like massively, but still away, and they don't punish the Batiste for it. They're just playing so passively, so defensively. They're just backing up, and sooner or later they're gonna run out of ground to give.
Yeah, but right now a good Sigma Flux comes through, but unfortunately Dusk goes down while trying to get that casted. Everyone's kind of backing up right now. But of course, Intego is actually able to use his now, and Empathy is going to be going down because of that. Team fight right now is looking so far so good for the side of T-Dollar. It looks like they're probably going to be able to stop that. Flabberjack actually going in there, getting a few kills, and Oasis falling behind. Get Big Nick out of the situation here, and it looks like they're going to be able to hold it for a little bit longer, but still so much time in the bank.
They need to start playing so much more aggressively. They need to start punishing these little mistakes, and they need to start staggering people out. They could have kept Big Nick alive for so much longer, but it's almost like they fear that one of them's going to be taken out by the Orisa, even though it's just one versus the entire team.
Yeah, I don't know. They noticed that they were getting punished by Peanut, I feel like. So now they're playing a little too passive while they were playing maybe a little too aggressive before. So I think they're just trying to find that good middle ground for now. But a really good Dragon to come through here forces out that immortality, but actually takes out John, the one who placed it down in the first place. And now Big Nick also down. That Transcendence coming through here at terrible times. They have to back up now. They can't push forward with that. And now it looks like they might start get their footing.
That's the level of aggression that I wanted to see from T-Dollar, and now it's actually Celtic Cross who make the mistake. They should not have invested Transcendence after that Batiste went down. You were not going to keep your team alive after it had run out. You would have just been staggered out, so you're not going to have that one to come in. And Empathy's still going to have one there, so you do have that advantage in sustainability. If it comes down to that slug of a fight, T-Dollar gonna have that overhead.
Yeah, it looks like they're stacking the amplification matrix with that bongo right now. But of course, they're going to be using that immortality to keep themselves up here as they try to push a little bit farther through. And they can't actually use that anymore because they had that immortality around that wall. So they had to leave that amplification matrix, and the bongo got destroyed very quickly. So those two ultimates nullified within a very short amount of time here. Peanut getting very close to that Blizzard, and they're going to use it right here, right now. It looks like it's going to be able to pick up both the tanks. But Empathy has that Transcendence, like you talked about before here, to try to keep people up. It looks like it wasn't enough with all that damage put out on Dusk here. And a pretty good pull into that. Dragon's going to manage to take out two. Oasis now with a 3K, looking for more, thirsty for blood, pushing forward. They're actually able to pick up Big Nick as well. And over in the back line, Sturban just trying to get something done, but Oasis taking him down.
This is when, if you're Celtic Cross, you start changing things up. It's not working for you. They boasted that they would be flexible. I'm not seeing a team that's flexible. I'm seeing a team that's sticking with what they've got and just gonna run themselves into a wall. Meanwhile, we're seeing T-Dollar feeding Ko3K on the McCree so that you can put that flashbang in case that Mei tries to come flanking.
Yeah, and now going forward here, it's going to be a little bit difficult for them to try to make their way forward. Here it comes. The amplification matrix is out. It's going to destroy those shields relatively immediately. And Ko3K now on that McCree is going to take out Sturban here. The pull comes through to try to get a few more players out. That immortality was down, but only for a second. Now John himself finds himself taken out of the fight. And with about a minute left on the board, they're going to have to back up and try to go in one last time to get this pushed all the way to the end.
Some swaps need to be coming in, and I'm worried it's just a little bit too late. With 1 minute left on the board, you don't have that time that you need, the luxury to put up ultimate. So you have to keep running with what you've got now. If you swap, you're shooting yourself in the foot, but if you stick, you're also shooting yourself in the other foot. They're in a really hard spot. Pozak, and they're the ones that put themselves there.
Yeah, and I mean, coming up onto it again, looking at all these ultimates coming through, they have that dragon back up for Osiris, and it's going to be very difficult for them to actually push themselves through. They actually just used that immortality, so it's going to be even harder for them to get anything done. But it looks like it's going to stay up in just enough amount of time to get that dragon nullified. Right now, picks for the sides, the DPS down, but in exchange for a Baptiste and an amazing Gravital Flux right now coming from Dusk, able to pick up two. Ko3K, of course, ready with that Deadeye to try to get something done, and that he does, able to take out Cyril. And it looks like this push is going to be stopped here with only 12 seconds remaining. Servant, the only one up to try to probably contest it now, is taken down. And that's going to be the end of this push, I think.
Well, I finally get to see the Hammond, but I get to see it for all of less than 4 seconds because no one is able to touch the card. And that is going to be round 1 of Rialto over.
Yeah, and let's not forget that's still a fairly far push. You know, it's not going to be a simple task to just say, okay, well, we can make it all the way there really easy. You know, they got to get through the first point, the second point, and pretty much like halfway through to get to that final objective where it would be the map 1 for them. So, you know, I don't see this being an easy fight to get all the way over there. We saw how easily they were able to hold it when it came up to the last one, even though they had like 4 minutes remaining.
Yeah, Celtic Cross, they burned through point A, they burned through point B, and then they just seemed to burn out when it came to that first bit of point C. It is one of those hard ones because there are so many ways that you can try and approach, but in that there are also so many ways that you can be immediately shut down. So it's going to be up to these teams. I want to see something different coming out from Celtic Cross. They seem to have been rumbled with the composition that they've been running, and just as they seem to have felt out T-Dollar on Hanamura, T-Dollar have apparently got their composition down on Rialto.
Yeah, now, I mean, going into these fights, it looks like it's not going to be exactly a mirror matchup. Maybe Code3K is expecting them to run the far on the offense here as well. It doesn't look like they're going to be doing it as far as I can see. Of course, always subject to change while they're sitting in that spawn room, but, you know, I can see them sticking on this Mei. A Mei is a very solid pick, and, you know, just kind of keep it going from there. So, not really going to be seeing anything too crazy coming out.
It's pretty much just going to be run of the mill that we're going to be seeing. The Mei, the Hanzo, the Batista Zen, Orisa Sigma, just meta at the moment. So none of the flexibility that we were promised. And it's a little bit worrying to see, but they do still have that big hitting Blizzard, and that can just absolutely destroy teams if used properly.
Yeah, right now the Pokemon Stu's actually able to pick up Empathy there over on the side, just barely getting him into the drink. But of course they have to back up a little bit. A lot of space is being taken right now. Normally, you do just kind of want to try to get that one pick or a little bit of alt charge when they're coming around that first corner. And the second corner is where you're really going to want to hold, because it's really nice to place that Baptiste Immortality down. There's not much they can do about it. As we can see, the snipers up here at the top just trying to make something of it. Sturban, though, is trying to keep them contested, but all by himself, it looks like he's going to be able to do that for a little bit. But meanwhile, Slyle is taken out in the back. Not much they can do against that, and it just kind of picks back and forth. It looks like the freeze is going to be coming through, freezing 3 people at the same time. Mei is a balanced character, and they can now keep moving forward and stop this offensive push.
That's surely where one of the controversies of Mei comes through. The fact that her freeze affects multiple people if they're in the same area. And we just saw Peanut's ultimate charge just leap up like an absolute Labrador-smelling steak. 84% to that one, and Empathy is not gonna have the Transcendence up, so all you have to worry about if you're the side of Celtic is baiting Flabberjack's lamp out, and then you can just move in for the throw.
Yeah, and right now it looks like T-Dollar is actually the one that's being a little bit more creative with their compositions, as it seems. We got Code3K back over onto the McCree, and it looks like right now, actually, a lot of people are going down the Amplification Matrix, seem to be doing a little bit more for the side of Celtic.
Well, Celtic, they have the Blizzard online. They can absolutely initiate this next push. In fact, I want to see these guys go for the aggressive. I want to see them initiate this defense. I want to see that Blizzard come out as soon as they see Flabberjack getting pressured enough to put Immortality Field on.
Yeah, and it's going to be very difficult actually to kind of just try to keep themselves going through here. I mean, they might be able to actually get this Amplification Matrix for John here during this fight, as long as they're able to keep themselves up for long enough and try to use that to pull that out. But it looks like the Immortality Field is actually going to be used pretty quick here by Flabberjack, and now they aren't going to have it for the fight continue forward. He had to use that to kind of keep himself up, which could be very valuable, but if a Dragon comes through here with a lot of damage, it might be able to take a few out. But right now it looks like Peanut actually is going to be the only one taken out. Tego using his ultimate here to try to get Dusk out of the fight. The Dragon now comes through that Immortality Field back up online fast enough, but still that Dragon putting through massive amount of damage. And of course, that's going to be noticed by Empathy. He's going to decide to use that Transcendence to make sure that everyone stays up and online right now. Code3K kind of having that 1v1 in the back with John. John, though, able to win that because he has that Immortality Field and that Amplification Matrix to keep it going.
Big Nick is able to get out alone. Orisa not being pressed on. That's a huge mistake that should have gone completely punished.
Yeah, but right now, a huge Blizzard is actually able to make it so that way they can pick up both supports. So while this offensive push looked like it was going to get a little bit more for the side of T-Dollar, to make them probably kept this first point, that great Blizzard able to take out both supports is going to stop that in its tracks.
It's a little bit of a silver lining that Peanut actually got taken out of that fight pretty quickly because Empathy puts in the Transcendence, so you do have that free pass to put the freeze in. And now if you're T-Dollar, you've got 3 ultimates. You have so much damage coming out. Kofriki is coming up to the Deadeye, but it's one where you don't really find the picks in 2020 Overwatch. It gets shut down so quickly, it's so hard to find value.
Yeah, right now both Orisas using that Bongo to try to put through a lot of damage. Of course, that Sigma all come through managed with that Transcendence, and it's just so much damage being put right now onto T-Dollar. What looked like was going to be a very good matchup for them is actually a very good defense from Celtic.
And they've still got John's amplification matrix for when this next contest comes on, and it's going to be an overtime contest, so it's just going to be put straight down onto the field to deny any of T-Dollar able to get close.
Yeah, Hero's just trying to touch this point right now to make sure that they're going to be able to get that into overtime. The High Noon comes out to try to get them off the point, try to put through a lot of damage here. Of course, Hero just trying to stay on this card as long as possible. The Immortality came down for a second, but everybody's just getting taken out as soon as you get closer to this point. This Dragon now coming through to stop everybody from getting through. Plabberjack actually able to jump over that because of that Maywall that came through here, but it doesn't look like it's going to be for any use because it looks like finally Rialto is over and Celtic take another map.
It's not the result that we were expecting having come out of that Oasis map in the first round, but after seeing them on Hanamura, it seems like these guys have really just woken up and decided that they know exactly what they're running up against, and they've been showing us left, right, and center. Whether it's restraint on the ultimates, whether it's restraint on the immortality fields, they've been getting so much value for pretty much everything they put in.
Yeah, and I think it just kind of feels like they have a really good understanding of how to hold a defense and how to be aggressive with that. Meanwhile, maybe on the side of T-Dollar, they are definitely more of an offensive team, but because of how much I've seen Celtic use all these defensive positionings to make sure that they can stay themselves up in a fight and just give a little bit of cart percentage or cart meters away so that way they can come back and have another even fight, you know, so far it's been really good.
Yeah, and I have to give my hat off to Celtic Crosses Batiste. This guy, he gets pressured a little bit, but he keeps a hold of the immortality field until he's ready to put it down to actually find use and save his team. So definitely one to think about when you're voting for MVP. Don't forget to vote, guys. I do really want to talk to this guy. I'm a support main myself, Porzak. So it's always nice to hear what's going on in the grapevine of the higher SRs than I am.
Yeah, I mean, they can just have so much insight because not only are they going to be playing at these high skill levels where they're playing around Grandmaster, they're playing with people who are in contenders in the Overwatch League. You're going to see them in games and you're going to be able to learn from them as well. So they have so much knowledge even stored up in themselves. They're going to be able to probably let a few players know, but of course, you know, they don't always want to disclose everything, as we talked about the interview before the match started with Celtics org owner and manager. You know, sometimes you got to keep things on the down low so that way you yourself can have that advantage. And it looks like the map we're going to be going to next here is Lijiang. So maybe a King of the Hill is just kind of where T-Dollar feels at home.
Yeah, and also, they probably feel so much more at home in the pharmacy battle. We have to remember, first map of Oasis, we saw one Pharah absolutely just managing to ground the other Pharah's head into the dust. So when you already have that one battle won, especially if you're headed off to Gardens, which is where we're jetted off to now, you've essentially won half of the battle, at least when it comes to the sky.
Yeah, I mean, the Pharah battles are just so important to win because as soon as you lose that Pharah battle, your Pharah gets taken down, your Mercy gets taken down. Either your Pharah is going to have to play a lot more conservatively, you don't have them, so now that enemy Pharah is just going to be able to just rain from above and completely take out everybody on the ground if they don't have anyone to kind of contest them while they're flying up in the sky.
It's going to be interesting for me to see whether T-Dollar are going to react to losing 2 maps by being as passive as we saw them on Rialto and getting spooked off again, or whether we're going to see a return to form of those Oasis maps, whether these guys are going to take hold of the reins and go a little bit more aggressive because they could overexert themselves and go that over-aggressive form that we've seen them go and just be punished with. But Oasis and Peanut is going to be head-to-head once again. Oasis took the first round. Peanut is going to be looking for revenge, surely.
Yeah, I mean, the Pharah matchup coming through, it doesn't look like anyone's going to be actually able to deal with the Pharahs besides the Pharah. So, of course, whoever's going to be winning that is going to be the big player here. But right now, looking at these compositions, actually, there's quite some difference in them. We can see, especially on this main tank.
Yeah, and Sturban back on the Sombra as well, but yeah, Bellagio going for the Winston, Dusk going for the Orisa, so that favoring dive as opposed to that shield in front of your face assured safety.
Yeah, and I mean, I think what's interesting is the Tracer versus the Sombra matchup here. The Sombra feels like she can get a lot more value, but of course, the Tracer's going to be able to just blink in and out of team fights and put through a lot of damage themselves. And right now, with one of those Pharahs getting taken out, now, of course, Peanut just able to rain in all of these missiles from above, but it doesn't look like they're actually going to be able to catch on point in time. I take that back. Vintigo is actually able to get knocked onto the point, it looks like, by the enemy Hammond hero. And now Big Nick just kind of swinging around the point. They could be a hack over onto Dusk, so he can't use that Fortify. Pretty big there to make sure that they can secure this point a little bit longer. They might just be able to. Code 3K's running around trying to get this Ana over in the back line. Are they going to be able to do it? They throw the Pulse Bomb, doesn't quite able to pick him up. But Oasis now getting taken down again by Peanut. And of course, the EMP now coming through here is going to make it super difficult for everyone there to try to make sure that they don't get picked off by this Pharah or all this damage coming through.
That's got to be one of the longest point contests I've ever seen. In fact, teams have built up ultimates off that contest alone. So now we're really going to be seeing Celtic Cross have the upper hand here. Code3K is actually going to be accepting that he's going to be the one to counter Peanut because Oasis has swapped onto the Mei, so they're going to try and get that CC. But first they have to get onto the point. And with a Pharah who has that barrage ready, going to be waiting to drop down. And with Big Nick, with these Hammond mines, you can just have all of the space shut down.
Yeah, and I mean, right now with all these ultimates, they're going to be ready to come online. The Barrage being the first one taken down here, able to pick up 3. But it looks like mines are also going to be used here. Only going to be able to take out the Ana, though. So the Barrage right now definitely looking like it's putting through a lot more damage. And Peanut, again, just getting another kill before they're done.
Hero gonna be chucking himself off the map so as not to be a battery for the enemy, and it is gonna be once more Celtic Cross holding on to this point. 44%, almost 50 in Sturban, 50% that EMP. Big Nick though, this is the real big thing, didn't have to invest the mines, and so as soon as T-Dollar tried to go for another contest, those are just gonna be all over the place. I don't know if you've ever tried to walk in a room with all of those Lego bricks. It's painful.
Yeah, definitely not the best thing to walk into. Looks like they're going to be making their way over to the point, though. First one to touch here is Dusk on that Sigma. The rest of his team is following close behind. They're watching out for that Hammond that kind of went for the boop earlier before. Big Nick now deciding to use those mines. Everybody gets in here. A big anti-nade actually getting onto a lot of the players to try to eliminate much of that. But some of these mines are stuck up at the top. Unfortunately, that's something that will just happen. And the Nano Primal is absolutely terrifying right now. He's able to pick up one, but Peanut goes down. No more Sky support looks like it's going to be there for the side of Celtic, but as they continue forward here, it looks like they're still going to be able to win this fight, putting through a lot of damage despite this Coalescence. Now both of these support ultimates coming through here, of course, because it is the last fight. Looks like it's here on the point right now, using that Fortify, getting pocketed by the Mercy to just try to keep them up a little bit longer. Just making their way. It looks like Dusk got slept actually over on the bridge and now hacked as well. Not going to be able to get on that point. The Blizzard comes through though. It looks like they're probably going to be able to take out Big Nick here. He's stuck all by himself. The High Noon comes through, is able to get John. But is it going to be enough? I don't think so. The Barrage now coming through as well. Picks up Oasis, and now Code3K also finds himself dead, going back into the spawn room, but taking their time, coming back and forth one after one. I think finally, though, it just might be over unless Dusk can get there in time.
Nope, that is going to be Lijiang Gardens going the way of Celtic Cross. And really, we saw it. These guys promised that they would come out with wacky compositions, and while it's not quite as wacky as Narissa Hammond, Hammond and Winston, it's still one of those balmy matchups that a couple of years ago you would never think to see exploding across your screens. But headed into Night Market, it's less than likely that we're going to be seeing that one continue.
Yeah, and I mean, coming into this one, I kind of wish that we get to see the Symmetra more on this map, because I feel like it was so much fun to watch before with Double Shields, but now it's just kind of been tossed over to the side because of the Mei and how much support that they can do with that wall instead of having like just those sim TPs up for damage, which can be easily destroyed. So I think, you know, it would be fun to see the Symmetra here, but we're not going to be able to, unfortunately. But it looks like they will have the Baptistes. They're going to be pretty much running, well, they are going to be running that mirror matchup. So right now it's just going to be who's better on what.
It's going to be who gets to the point first, because that's where you're going to get the advantage, able to set up with the Mei and wall off whoever decides to walk into your territory.
Yeah, and right now it looks like he's trying to make himself get back in there. He actually gets pulled out, but the shield's still there for him. Peanut actually going to be the first one taken down here on the Mei. So now you're down that Mei. They're actually going to decide to back up right now. Also losing John as they decide to go back.
Well, it's a really nice clean disengage, actually. They don't lose anyone other than those two players. It could have been a whole lot worse, but Code3K coming up to this Dragon already 70% on the board for this guy, and he has all the time in the world where he wants to choose to set it up. He can go for one of those really sneaky flanks that we've been seeing some of those Hanzo Dragons just coming out of the woodwork from all of these least expected places.
Yeah, and these shields are getting taken out super fast right now. Big Nick still doesn't have his up quite yet, so they're going to have to use that Immortality to stop all that damage from coming through. But of course, it's going to have to be used for both sides here as they slowly back up to the point for the side of T-Dollar. And now Celtic is slowly trying to make their way in here. Pretty good pull, but the Matrix is actually going to be put down right before John gets taken out, and it looks like it may just see a little bit more value. It is not in vain, my friend, as they're able to pick up 3 right now. The numbers advantage going to the side of Celtic as they slowly push in here, making sure everybody goes down. Just hiding in that little ice cube. They're not going to be able to live much longer. Empathy in the back now discorded, also getting taken down. And I mean, that just goes to show how much that Matrix can really turn a fight.
And now, yes, Flabberjack has that one same ultimate, but again, you have this control of the point. You can just disengage and hide away from all of the incoming damage. That's going to be exactly what we're going to be seeing as soon as we hear the outline coming out. And now you just have to wait for Transcendence. Slayer is getting so close to it, and Oasis getting close to this Blizzard. You have to get it online before the engage properly happens.
Yeah, and as the engage happens here, you can see they got to throw the shields out in front while they're offending to make it a little bit easier for them to get up there. But of course, those shields getting taken down means they're going to have the advantage on the defense here trying to hold this point. Of course, they're going to be popping all these ultimates right now. Really, none of them have seen any kills so far, but it's getting close to one every single time, it feels like. And this Blizzard could be the ones that decide it on both sides now. Cyril's going to be the first one taken out along with Peanut and Vitagio, so it looks like they're going to be able to get this back from the side of T-Dollar despite having what could have been a little bit of a disadvantage going into that.
Okay, so unpopular opinion, I am so against Zen's using Transcendence to save their teams from Hands of Dragons. You can literally just walk to the side of it. If you've got Transcendence and you know the enemy's got a Mei who's gonna have a Blizzard up, you have to absolutely save that one ultimate for it, because Immortality Field is just gonna be shot like a frozen fish in a barrel. And now you've got control of the point, 63% on the board. You've got the Sigma Flex. You know Slayer does not have that Transcendence. Again, it's back to this. Immortality Field has to get baited out.
Yeah, and it looks like the first one going down now is actually Empathy, so it looks like they wouldn't even have had it to this fight to begin with. But, of course, using that Sigma Gravital Flux right now is going to put through a lot of damage, of course, all negated pretty much by that Immortality Field. They're going to be thrown up. The Immortality Field is gone, but so many picks have already been made. It doesn't look like anything's going to actually be able to come from it here. They're going to want to back up. They're in last fight territory. They have to make sure they're able to regroup and have someone come over here and touch the point. I imagine Big Nick, yep, swapping over to that Ham to try to get onto that point. So 3K getting taken out by Stubborn, though, so maybe there is a little bit of hope as this Dragon comes through here. Doesn't look like it's going to be able to pick anyone up, though.
Yeah, well, Stubborn does put the Dragon in, and there is going to be a contest on the point, but Oasis is getting closer and closer to that Blizzard, and I don't think they're even going to need it to shut this push down.
Yeah, it was going to be very hard for them to come back in. They lost so many players while it was rounding the 90% mark. They had to switch to something fast, and unfortunately, they weren't quite able to make that group up. And now, Lijiang Tower, 1-1.
It couldn't be closer than this, and we're going to be heading to Control Center, so you can't really decide this by Pharah. It's going to be the Mei again. It has to be. You take control of the point, you push up aggressively, you hold the choke. You put your fingers around the enemy's throat and you throttle them until they're dead.
Yeah, and right now it looks like over on that side of Celtic, they're going to be deciding to go with the old, more double shield support composition here. Never mind, they're going to be swapping back over now to the BAP. Whether they'd stay, I think they're both going to stay on the Lucio here, which I really do. I do think Lucio does really well with these team compositions, so I like the fact that I'm seeing it more and more. Co3K, though, using that Sim TP, so they're going to be getting there a little bit faster on the side of Celtic because of that, I feel like. It looks like Duz is going to be able to throw that Fire Strike in there to get through a little bit of damage. Of course, Hero looks like he's going to be actually able to get a little bit more done with it. A lot of freezing right now. Stubborn's actually going to be the first one to go down now by his counterpart over on the Reaper Co3K. They got to use this Immortality to back up a little bit. They're not really seeing too much value out of anything right now. None of these abilities seem to be putting them in the best position, and Peanut's just super out of position right now, getting stuck behind. But it looks like he's actually going to be able to make it out, thankfully for him. Co3K now is actually getting stuck on the other side of the Mei wall, but they're actually able to make their way through, getting through super fast. Co3K taken out. This Matrix is now down. Hero just waiting for his Fire Strike to come back up so you can toss it in there. Doesn't see anyone on the other side of that. But now that they have the point cash on the side of T-Dollar, it should be a lot easier for them.
Well, that's going to make it so much harder for them because Slayer actually finds value from the Amplification Matrix, and his team are finding value in all of the picks.
Yeah, Sturban absolutely just running in there, just firing. Just going 1-1-1, just adding up all the kills right now. And it looks like it's just going to be poor little old Flabberjack just trying to hold it for a little bit longer. They were able to get about 35%, but, you know, in the end, maybe you wanted to play a little bit more passive in the end.
And unfortunately for Celtic Doll, they aren't Celtic Revenant. You're not actually going to be able to get that aggressive chokehold that you want to stay because Peanut dies and the Lucio has to go back to Ferry. So yes, you've got the Blizzard. And that's going to come out immediately. It's going to get really cold on this point, Pozak.
Yeah, and it looks like it actually doesn't really seem to pick anybody up, but it stops the push a little bit longer. They get the bongos down. They're all still pretty far away from each other, but now the Death Blossom comes through. It's able to pick up 2 before he gets stunned out of it, booped away. But that's already the damage done. There's no way they're going to be able to make it back from this. Peanut also getting a couple more kills and a pretty good hold for a team kill.
Yeah, and they're not moving up. This is very strange positioning. They've got the Mei, they've got the Reinhardt, but they're not going to the choke. They're playing around point. So they're really putting their favor in the fact that Sturban is able to teleport up to that ledge and just drop down on the unsuspecting side of T-Dollar and the supports.
Yeah, right now the Shatter comes through and it doesn't look like it's actually able to get anybody. But in the backline with the Death Blossom, Code 3K is able to pick up that Ryan. And now Flabberjack gets a boop off on the Peanut. Not something you get to see very often, at least on this map, but pretty good nonetheless. John, though, now last one on point, gets taken out.
Honestly, that's all down to the positioning on the side of Celtic. If they'd gone up, if they hadn't allowed for that chokehold to just be transgressed, then Code 3K would not have had the opportunity that they did to get that Death Blossom off. And now look, this is the positioning I wanted to see. You've got to use that choke.
Yeah, and right now, it looks like all these things are going through. The Shatter goes through. It's going to get blocked by that shield, of course, though. Empathy and Zero, both Baptistes are down. But it looks like this fight is going again now over into the side of T-Dollar. Oh, a little bit late of a Blizzard.
It's such an overinvestment. And Peanut is just left to dance in the cold.
That's not exactly what you want to be using at that point in time. Maybe they're going to make the switch off. I don't see why they would want to switch off or what they would switch off to.
They can't.
Maybe a call was made, but it looks like they're going to be staying on that. So maybe a little bit of a misclick.
It must have been a misclick, but it is actually going to spook all of T-Dollar to pulling back to the point and putting the superchargers and the Blizzard down of their own.
Yeah, the Blizzard right now look like it's going to be able to get a lot of value here. The Immortality is already down. This is last fight territory. They have to make their way up here. And looks like it's going to be able to take out the Baptiste with the Fire Strike amplification, but it's also met with a Death Blossom over the backline. They were quite waiting for it. They were able to take out 2, but is that going to be enough? It looks like it will be. The only one that's going to be able to even get anywhere close to Sturban. He's just going to get headshot immediately by that Mei. And it looks like this point in this map is now taken over to the side of T-Dollar.
They're going to be taking this. They've got the Shadow just in case that contest comes through, but they don't even need it. And it will be T-Dollar taking Li Xiang.
Yeah, now both these teams fairly good against each other. It seems like right now it's 2-2. So this next map will be the one to decide it all. And honestly, we can't go back to another King of the Hill map after that. And now it's in the favor of Celtic because they get to pick the map. So, you know, you got to have all these thoughts in your head. Like, is this definitely going to go over to the side of them? Like, we've really only seen T-Dollar at their best when they're playing on this King of the Hill map. So it's going to be very, very difficult to see going into the next one who's going to come out on top. But I have a feeling it's probably going to be Celtic.
I mean, we're headed off to Nepal. That is the tiebreaker map.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's going to be a case of, once again, you're going to get that matchup. You're going to get the opportunity. Mei finds value in pretty much every single map. But on Nepal Village, it was where, even before she became a strong character, that we saw her really shine, because you can just wall off those points. Why? I ask so many people this. Are the Mei walls so perfectly fitted? They're cookie cutter shapes in all of these architectures.
I don't know. It's going to be really tough. I mean, the Mei is just so powerful, and especially when maps like you were talking about beforehand, where she already was powerful because of all these nice chokes to where she can just wall them off, whether they have to run over to the point or they have to run through the choke to get to the point. It's just the point control for Mei is absolutely insane. And of course, even if you're on the offense, you just use that wall to stop the enemy wave from using their walls. So I'm not quite sure how this will probably pan out. I feel like both of these Meis relatively have been doing very 50-50 work for themselves. You know, they've been very good matchup together. So to see which one's going to come out on top of this next matchup is going to be really hard.
The difference in the Mei play was the fact that Celtic Cross just did not take advantage of the choke that they really should have just been straight up into. T-Dollar, as soon as they get that point into their side, they move up and they take full advantage, just trying to wall people off, hold them at the door, not allow them to go aggressive and put their ultimates in first before any attack can actually properly be made. And the best defense, it's always been universally agreed, is the best offense.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to defense, you got to make sure that you have that aggression, which is something we felt like we weren't exactly seeing from Tidala at one point in time. They were able to get a pretty good hold at the end of the point on Rialto, but of course, you know, they weren't able to do that for pretty much the rest of the fight. It was just a lot of feeling around and kind of understanding, like, okay, where can we be aggressive? Where can we be passive? But it just kind of felt like they were being either over aggressive or under aggressive in these fights, and it just kind of like they weren't able to find that middle ground until the very end. So hopefully now for them, they have that in their repertoire, so they're going to be able to use that against them. But when it comes down to it, we'll just have to watch and see.
Well, I was mistaken. It's not going to be Nepal. It's still going to be a map where Mei can find so much value either on attack or defense. Temple of Anubis. And really where you're going to be seeing these Meis try to outplay each other is in those beginning corridors when you get that split from main to left to right. You have to put a counter wall down before the other Mei can properly wall you off to provide just a little bit of a gap for all of your team to just squeeze on through.
Completely agree. Ignore that phone.
It's no one talking important. It's just the CEO of Blizzard, but he phones every Monday. It gets very annoying as well, my side. But no, we will be headed off to Temple of Anubis. And so I'm fully expecting to see these DPS picks coming in exactly the same as we've had before.
Yeah, and like you said, the Mei is definitely going to be someone that we're going to be seeing here. I mean, the Mei is just so valuable on this map, but who else can be very valuable on this map? Maybe you want to see a Junkrat or the Hanzo. You can definitely see Junkrat on this map out of any map we've seen today, probably because of all these different just small closed spaces that the Junkrat can just fire all of his mines into. Meanwhile, maybe if you want to play that Hanzo, you can also do a lot of that spam damage. Reaper, I really don't think we're going to see here for at least the defense. I think Reaper is kind of meh here in case they just run over and swap to a Pharah. Then it's just kind of like, okay, well, now we can't really do anything. So on the defense, I would never really run a Reaper.
Well, you're gonna get your wish. There is not gonna be a Reaper on the defense. It's gonna be Hanzo and a Mei. So two things that we expected to see. Meanwhile, Sturban on the Reaper, if you're going on the attack, it can be swapped up. I think that there are a couple of DPS that, again, you can just find a little bit better value with. Even though you're on the attack, it's so much harder to drop into the supports. Yes, there's all these high ground ledges, but these teams, they're going to be playing nice and close together, so it's going to be so hard to get one person alone from the crowd, especially if Oasis is just going to be able to freeze you as soon as your Rayform runs out.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the Reaper on the offense, yeah, could be good here. I mean, honestly, I really don't see much value in him if they're just going to be playing super far back with that Hanzo. You're probably going to just want to end up using that matchup, because if they do go through the left and get into that room, they probably aren't going to be wanting to fight close quarters. So that Reaper's not going to be able to see much value. They're probably going to back up and stay on that bridge area if they noticed him. If they didn't, maybe they play a little bit closer here. It looks like that's what they're going to be doing. They have that side arrow, though, so maybe Co3K is going to be going off on a little bit of an adventure. Looks like he's going to stick with the team, though. That Maywell comes out, so now they can be a little more aggressive. And it looks like Hero's going to get stuck here. They throw the Immortality on. It's actually going to be able to keep him up. That's pretty big. But Empathy in the backline gets taken out by Sturban, who I think just teleported behind them. Everybody was so focused on keeping Hero up that nobody decided to hear the little Reaper in the background and be like, hey, I'm right here.
Yeah, Sturban did indeed actually teleport right to those steps, climbed up them, and then just put those two shotguns into the back of Empathy's head. Co3K was not able to save the support, and really, they get to take the point off that flank and that flank alone, and now they have all of the opportunity for a snowball because SlyRL is the only one with an ultimate up, and it's gonna put so much damage down, but Peanut going down, that's definitely gonna be sending you back just a little bit more hesitant.
Yeah, and now it's just a few more people actually getting taken out here, so they decided they weren't too happy with how that first person went for them, where they got stuck there. So they're like, you know what, maybe just push up a little bit here, get these kills, so that way maybe our percentage is a little bit better now.
I mean, if you're Empathy, you've got to imagine that you're checking all of your corners now, paranoid that there's going to be an edgelord dropping down ready to take your head off. But SlyRL still hasn't actually been able to put this amplification matrix down, and it's still the only ultimate up on the board, so you do have that opportunity to move in while it's still hot.
Yeah, right now Co3K is just trying to get an off angle, maybe just trying to get a few shots in. The Sigma keeps up his barrier, so you have to wait a little bit for that to come back up online. Sturban, though, of course, on that Reaper is just going to be waiting to go in for another opportunity, but Co3K is going to be on that off angle, waiting for him to come through and try to do that teleport now for him to make sure he goes down. But here comes the Matrix right now. People are getting pulled in. That Maywall's through, and it looks like Hero's actually going to be stuck in with Turban. Finally, it looks like this Gravital Flux goes down, but of course that Immortality always there to meet it. And now the Amplification Matrix on the other side now looks like it's going to actually be able to take out Sturban here. They're playing in the backup point because there's not much they can do. The Maywall comes down, but it looks like there's a few more for the side of Celtic here in the back. They're going to be able to take out Hero. Hero now down. Maybe they're going to play a little bit more aggressive, but look at this Blizzard going through here. Dusk with another 3K. Pretty good so far on the defense on second point. Unfortunately, their offense or defense on first wasn't that good, but it looks like they're making up lost ground.
But Blizzard was overkill. Completely, utterly unnecessary. And now they're not going to have that ultimate. Yes, they've got the Dragon. Yes, they've got the Superchargers, but those are two ultimates that you can just sidestep away from. Blizzard freezes you in the place, takes out all of your movement, and then you can actually guarantee the kills. And so it's really the ultimate that I wanted to see them hold on to and put into a situation. And Peanut has it up now, and so Celtic Cross, you have to imagine they're going to be trying to find all of the value with it.
Yeah, right now, Dusk actually playing super far up here while that Maywall was down to try to get himself a little bit more percentage. Coming up close again to another Gravital Flux. It looks like we're probably going to be seeing this Blizzard come out from Peanut here, so maybe if Dusk is able to eat that, that could be pretty big. It comes through. He's not going to be able to do that. Dragon comes through, but everybody's already pushed super far past it. This Maywall up here. Dusk is going to be the first one taken out. Empathy using his Transcendence to try to keep everybody up. This Bongo now from both sides to put in a lot more damage. Looks like right now, Celtic is slowly taking over this point, and there's not much they can do about it. Now, that Gravital Flux puts both the supports in the air. There's not much they can do. And a 4-man into the air from that one, but it doesn't look like it's going to be having anything to meet up behind it with because of that Immortality on the ground there. Hero just trying to stall at that point a little bit longer, but about 3:04 left on the clock. You know, and what could have been possibly 5 minutes dwindled it down a little bit, so not as bad as it could have been.
I'm seeing both of these Batiste whenever they get Sigma Flux just able to look down at the ground and casually just throw a Frisbee in. If these teams really want to get that value from the Sigma Flux, they're gonna have to start properly pressuring the supports. And I'm not just talking about the Zen in the backline. I'm talking you have to go for the main support. You have to cut off that massive vein of sustainability to the teams if you really want to take the fight.
Yeah, the Baptistes right now are just kind of deciding whether or not the kills are going to be happening and making sure that they place that Immortality field in a good spot where it's behind a wall and they can't directly shoot at it unless they get an off angle and put their enemy out of position. So that way, even if they do take out that Immortality, you know, are they going to be able to get a kill afterwards even? Or are they going to get killed because they went to go take out that Immortality? So just making sure that they always have that online for that is very important. So if they do want to try to pressure these Baptistes into using it, maybe you want to try to do a Dragon Strike with the Gravital Flux combo where you throw in that Dragon Strike and then maybe you decide to use that. Everybody's focusing that Immortality or just something to try to get that Immortality out of the play.
Either that or you just go for the Batiste. Instead of trying to jump the Zen, you jump the main support, pressure them into putting that 20-second cooldown ability down, and then you can actually know that you're going to guarantee some value with things that take time to build up instead of just plain bullets and abilities.
Yeah, and I mean, now going on this offense here, it looks like we're going to be having a little bit of a mirror matchup. So right now it's going to come down to that who's better on what, but I mean, being on the defense here is usually a little bit easier.
It's definitely the favorite position because you do get to decide where you want to set up. If you're the attackers, you have to walk in and walk into so much damage, but there's a Maywall to just cover you, an umbrella to get you to safety off that side corridor.
Yeah, and they're going to decide to go over here on the right. Pretty classic position to go in through here. They're going to have to use that Sigma Shield to get pulled up. Now they know that it's on cooldown. Maybe they use that wall. Yep, use that, go for it. But the Immortality field has already been used down in the back, so they're not going to have it going up here into this fight. Meanwhile, they are going to have that here on the defense. They're actually going to be able to pick up Dusk because they didn't have that Immortality field anywhere up close. Now they're going to have to back up a little bit. That Sigma already being lost here is pretty big. That shield is kind of feels like more of the main shield now, considering that Orisa has that big nerf on her shield as of recently. But now just more players going down. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to continue the push.
You do start to see what happens when Batiste just too early invest those Immortality fields. That's what happens when you pressure someone into using that massively punishing cooldown. And now they get to pick Dusk up again! Oh no! Deja vu for the Sigma goes down way too early and forces the team to have to wait for this regroup. And if you're the defense, you're laughing because all that's happening is time dwindling away from the clock.
Yeah, I mean, right now it feels like it's going to be very difficult for them to even match the time that they have on their defense as long as they're able to hold this as well as they are, especially if they go over to the second point. And the Maywalls now, of course, are going to get them stuck. They had to use that grasp. They used the Orisa shield. And Ko3K didn't even quite be able to make it through yet, so he's going to have to stay back there a little bit longer, go get a health pack. Maybe he's just trying to look for an off angle. The amplification matrix has been used, but that wall has been put up there to buy themselves a little bit more time to back off, get down, and go back over to the point. You got to give up that high ground. You got to give it up. You know, sometimes it just happens like that. They're going to try to go to a quick pull here to try to have something go through. It looks like the first thing coming out ultimate-wise here is going to be this Gravital Flux. It picks up a few. Actually, Peanut, the one that's going to go down here. I thought it was possibly going to be Oasis, the one that was in that Gravital Flux, but doesn't seem so. They're not going to push up here knowing they have that advantage. They use the Immortality Field in the Matrix, but actually it looks like more people are going down on the side of Celtic, and I think now they finally have this point captured, but with a little under 2 minutes, time bank, it's going to look okay, but I don't think they're going to be able to steamroll through it.
And I mean, even worse, if you're a $T support, you have put in your Transcendence. Empathy invested that one to keep them alive for the dragon. And so now Peanut is just going to be able to worry about, again, Batiste Immortality Field. I want so much, I've said this, I feel like a broken record. I want to see these guys pressure the map and then put Blizzard in, because that's the only way you're going to be finding value.
Yeah, now as they slowly make their way up here over on the right side, it looks like Peanut's just sitting over here in the corner waiting to use that Blizzard. Actually deciding to back off now, maybe afraid that they had a Sonic up or they heard it go through. The wall's going to go up, and now the Immortality Field is down already, so Dusk is going to have a pretty good Gravital Flux if they're able to take that down in time. 3 players up right now, 3 players down. The Blizzard now following up behind, but both Blizzards have been used right now in a very, very fast push. That's everybody down on the side of Celtic, and it looks like that cap is actually going to be very good and a lot faster.
I mean, Blizzard did nothing on the side of Celtic Cross, and it's because Flapperjack is able to just encase the entire team in that Immortality Field because the Batiste does not get pushed. On the other side, you push the Celtic Cross so much that John feels the need to put the Immortality Field down. Then you can put your ultimates and you can put your Sigma Flux in, and we saw it got picked. That's the way it's supposed to go.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I kind of wish Peanut would have used that ultimate a little bit sooner. They kind of just waited for them to get aggressive. Meanwhile, it felt like while they were just sitting on the defense, they kind of just waited for everything to happen. I kind of wish they were a little more proactive with their approach there and actually managed to use those ultimates a little before they were able to get in and do that, because they knew the Immortality Field was down and they were going to be investing ults as soon as that thing was up for a little while. So that way it would be nullified by the time everything's gone through. So maybe a little bit earlier of a Blizzard could have meant a completely different team fight for them.
Oh, absolutely. If you put in that Blizzard when you know that cooldown is on for that Immortality Field, then you really do pressure a team and you force them to either just pull back or lose people to the freeze. And now we're going to actually be seeing a little bit of a different defense. We're getting to see for the first time tonight Ko3K on the Junkrat. This feels like such a trip down memory lane for Zach. We're getting to see an amazing game of Overwatch today, and if you want to see more amazing games of Overwatch, don't forget, guys, to follow us on Twitch and come find us on the Discord. Just pop down and say hello.
Yeah, might as well. And don't forget, this is the last map, so don't forget to vote for your MVP. We will be having a post-match interview with them as soon as it's over. It doesn't have to be from the winning team, of course. If you feel like that MVP may be on the team that is about to take this heartbreaking loss and quite a long and close series, it feels like, you know, we're always going to be there with that MVP. Doesn't matter who, doesn't matter where. As long as you guys vote for him, we're going to be talking to him.
I mean, Sturban, we have to talk about a little bit of a lost lamb at the moment. Trying to get that back plant, but this time he's not a Reaper. He doesn't have the luxury of the teleport.
Yeah, and right now, all that spam damage coming in through that Junkrat, they tried to go in really hard onto Big Nick. He was walled off. It was only a 2v1, though, so it looked like he was going to be able to stay up, especially with that Immortality Field coming down. But Ko3K was able to put through so much damage, take down that Immortality immediately. And, of course, there's not much you can do when a Junkrat's in your face, just spamming grenades.
Spamming them to 72% of an ultimate. Tyre's gonna come in, and that's one surefire way to pressure Batiste into putting down Immortality Field. You don't necessarily need to get the pick with the ultimate, you just have to get that cooldown on the clock for you to actually get picks. And the Maywalls, they're gonna be a little bit Fortnite there, one on top of the other, so another long cooldown used, you can move in for an attack.
Yeah, and another long cooldown used is going to be that Immortality Field to try to save Dusk as they were moving up there. Now they have to use his Amplification Matrix to try to get something done here, but Flabberjack is going to be going down now. Of course, this now being a 4v6, it feels like they're a little split up. And all the numbers now are just going over to the side of Celtic. They're just making their way slowly up here to try to get everyone off this point and cap as fast as they can to try to get ready for the next one. And I mean, ultimate-wise, it looks like they're going to be definitely in more of an advantage.
Well, you do still have Cobra K with this tire, which can immediately shut down the push if it gets a target. But again, I would much rather see them just try to pressure the Batiste into using that massively long cooldown so they can actually put in something that's going to find a little bit more value, maybe get more kills than just the one guaranteed. Sturban, however, has got the Dragon. We've seen these come from really strange angles. We've seen Big Nick was definitely there with the big brain for the pulls and Peanut to disguise them with Maywolves. So they're going to be looking to set one up of the same that we've seen.
Yeah, they always seem to come here from the right side. He's ready, Oasis with that Blizzard, but of course this tire coming in right now is actually going to get taken out pretty quickly here by Big Nick. They threw down the Immortality, so now that the Blizzard is coming through, it doesn't look like anything's going to happen, but the Blizzard's a little too on to the point. Maybe if they wanted to go a little bit more aggressive with that. And speaking of aggressive, here comes a few more ultimates. Empathy, of course, going to be ready with that Transcendence every single day of the week. The Bongo now coming down is going to be destroyed, though, so they might be able to make their way through here. This could actually be a second cap. This Bongo down here just eliminating everyone way too fast for them to be able to get back on the point. Dusk super close to his ultimate. He's going to use it right here, right now to try to get them off the point, but is anybody going to be able to touch in time? Yes, they are. Code 3K over on the side is able to touch. And now Flabberjack over onto that Lucio to try to stall it out a little bit longer too. They're just trying to group up for a little bit, taking turns, going in and out, as long as they make sure that they keep this clock going. Try to get themselves at least into overtime is primarily the goal here. And of course, if they are going to be able to keep it stalled out for the long haul, that is also something they'd probably want to do here. Dusk just holding his shield, try to stay alive as long as possible. Empathy now on the other side of the point. It doesn't look like they were going to be actually able to stop this in overtime. But with all these bodies going on the point, maybe they will be able to. Only about 5 seconds left here. Coming in, Hero might just be what they need. With about a little less than a second, though, they still have time in the bank.
T-Dollar were playing there a really nice game of hot potato. Unfortunately, they just don't get to see that overtime bar that they were so desperately searching for. But they do manage to just keep them off that point to get 0.8 seconds. So with 3 minutes 42, you do have a pretty good shot at taking A, taking B, and taking us to another round of the Anubis. These teams, they could not be closer, and I couldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised if they actually made it so that way we're going to be going into the 5-6 round. But, you know, I think it's still going to be a little bit harder for them. We saw that they were just barely able to get time on the board there for the side of Celtic. So, you know, you got to think to yourself, are they going to be able to do the same thing over on T-Dollar? And it looks like they might actually run the Junkrat on the offense here, which could be an interesting thing to see, you know, destroy those shields as fast as possible. Maybe it's just kind of for the Hanzo arrow if they decide to shoot that over to the other side to kind of make them think, oh, they're going to go Junkrat. Okay, that's kind of weird. So maybe they try to position themselves differently. But who knows? Maybe they decide to keep it.
They could decide to keep it. We've seen weirder things in Overwatch. But it's going to be the Mei. You got just a little bit baited. You have to. You know that Peanut's going to be playing the Mei. And while Junkrat has done so much spam damage, it's just not the same as having that counter for when those walls come in, which you desperately need if you want to keep Hero alive, especially when you're not running the Lucio with the speed boost. But Oasis falls to Sturban, and that is not how you want your attack to begin.
Yeah, I mean, Sturban put himself in a really good position. If you hold over onto the left side of this bridge, you're going to be able to see the sightlines way before anybody else's that's going to be holding primarily the choke if you're standing on top of this high ground on the other side of the bridge. So most of the time, people aren't really ready for you to just start firing arrows through there. So the shield wasn't up in time, and dwindled a little bit of time off the clock, about 30 seconds or so. But both the walls being down now, they're going to find their way through onto the left side. But not without losing both of their supports. So now the tanks are stuck in there. The DPS are behind. And there's not much they can do for at least another 20 seconds here.
This is a really bad place for T-Dollar to be, and they have to decide, do they want to stay in these little rooms and rescuing Clapston on, or do they want to wait for their support and try to get them into the herd safely? It's going to be such a hard ask. In fact, it might just pull Immortality Field out to make sure that they manage to group up.
And that they do. They throw down that Immortality to try to get everybody through, but Code 3K is going to get stopped right before he makes it in. The Immortality broken just before. But they're going to try to keep going with this push. Maybe they're going to be able to find a pick somewhere. But it looks like Sturban's actually going to be climbing this wall behind them to try to put in a little bit of damage. Of course, he's been noticed out, so he's just going to back off for a little bit longer here. But putting through all this damage here, I think they might actually just be trying to stall here, waiting for Code 3K to come back. but it looks like they're going to be ready for him just in case, putting up the Sigma shield and putting the Orisa in a pretty good position to stop damage from all angles. But of course, they run out of those shields, now having to use this immortality along with the amplification matrix. It goes down, but so does John. Now it's looking a little bit more favorable for the side of T-Dollar as they start to push themselves up here and try to get themselves onto this point.
John got just a little bit too aggressive, and now T-Dollar, they're smelling blood in the water, they're smelling a team without a main support. They can move in, and move in they do.
Yeah, but with all this time left on the clock, it could be really good for them. Sturban, though, is actually able to pick up Co3K in the back. And now a really good Sigma ult actually is going to put through a lot of damage. That immortality field's up, but not for long. Everybody's still fairly low here. They have to hide behind this shield and get as much healing as possible. Both the supports up and the Orisa, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to do anything. And a pause has been initiated here. Possibly a DC. I don't think anyone asked for it in chat unless I missed it. So we may be seeing a DC here. I'm not quite sure what happened.
Oh, DC is the absolute worst, and it's gonna be Co3K who's actually DCing. So you're losing 69% of a charged up dragon. Or maybe he just disconnected from Discord because I'm not seeing his player icon disappear. I'm seeing it in chat, but I'm not seeing his character portrait. So you are still actually gonna be able to keep your ultimate charge, and that's really good for these guys because they absolutely need that DPS damage to be coming in. They need the dragon to arc across point and split all of Celtic Cross up if they really want to take advantage of the confusion and try and get point B.
Yeah, but Oasis isn't going to have that Blizzard, so it looks like Sly RL is going to actually be able to use that Transcendence that they're going to have for that dragon. In particular here, the pause now over. These supports have got to make their minds up. Just hurry up and die. Regroup with the team. You still got a little bit of time in the bank to try to hurry up and come back and make this a point capture.
I don't know why they're trying to stagger the Zen. You need to get the point as quickly as you can, and all Empathy staying alive is going to do is delay that. So now it is going to be a little bit of a regroup chance. And so they're going to be coming in 1 minute, 5 seconds. Dusk has the Sigma Flux. They have to work with this Kozak. This is really going to be what they're going to be putting all of their hopes and dreams into, and they're going to be walking into so much damage, and a Blizzard on the side of Peanut. It's going to be such a hot ask.
Yeah, Empathy's going to have to make sure that this is an absolutely perfect Transcendence in every way, shape, and form, and right now throwing everybody up. The tanks actually aren't going to be in that at all. And Big Nick taken out in the back. He wasn't in the Transcendence. He wasn't in the Immortality. The supports were just a little too far away for either of those abilities to make anything done with there. So they're going to actually be able to push up here. And with what the ults looked like, we're going to be more into the favor of the defense here. The offense are slowly making their way up here, using this Matrix now to try to make sure this point is secured. They need to get this point and go on to the next one. So use what you can. You got to make sure you have it. And they're still going to have quite a few ultimates going into the next point.
They're showing so much restraint on the side of Celtic Cross. They understand that they've lost the point, so they don't invest their big heavy hitters because they have to keep a hold of B. They've got 37 seconds. They can keep doing this. They just need one good defense, and then they just have to deal with the staggers. They're gonna have this Blizzard to work against, yes, but John, if he's able to keep that Immortality field on cooldown, is just gonna be able to shut that one down immediately.
Yeah, but losing Empathy immediately, they're just throwing the dragon in here now to try to get something done, try to get an even pick out. Empathy has to come all the way back from spawn. And now the Hanzo 1v1, Co3K able to win it though, so this may just be that light in that darkness that they were seeing there. Oasis coming into the back line, about to use that Blizzard perfectly placed in the middle of the team. There's not much they're going to actually be able to do about that. They have the Immortality down, but it's not going to be down for much longer, and right now it's looking very even for both sides. But now it looks like they're just slowly taking more and more people off the side of Celtic. Now T-Dollar is controlling this point. Sturban's the only one that's actually going to probably be able to touch this in time. He goes down, but they got to watch on his left side. Big Nick makes his way over there with the Hammond. Is anybody going to make it there? It doesn't look like it. And now both these teams at 1 minute. We're going to be going into another round.
We talked about it. We said that there's a full possibility that both of these guys are going to be able to grab those 2 full points, and it's exactly what we're seeing. 1 minute on either side for both of these guys to find anything that they can. There has to be so much exhaustion setting in, and so whoever Psyche is going to be able to win out is going to have such an advantage on the battlefield right now.
Yeah, it's do or die 2-2 right now, going up with a minute to try to cap as much on Anubis as possible. It's going to be very, very difficult. Both these teams probably have that pressure setting in. Like you said, make sure that they keep their mental state very, very good, because going into it, this is going to be the deciding factor on whether or not they get this win and stick it and keep themselves in the upper bracket or go down below into the lower bracket.
I mean, the two deciding factors and the two win conditions for both of these teams is that the Mays keep their cool, no pun intended, and have the walls successful, and that the Batistes do not put in the immortality fields when they're unneeded. Whoever makes those mistakes and missteps, they're the team that's going to be losing tonight.
Absolutely. But, you know, I mean, no matter what, we've seen great plays from both of these teams. Don't forget that MVP, as we're coming down to the wire, vote for it down below. Don't forget to also follow Star Esports on everything from Twitch to Twitter to YouTube. And also a big thanks to Kalisti OW for their tier 1 sub for 8 months now. Thank you so much for supporting us tier 3 scene.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be both of these teams trying to make sure that no early picks are gonna be. The Maywolves come in, but no one really gets blocked off.
Yeah, and now a pretty big pull. That Sigma Shield, though, is able to stop a lot of damage from coming through here. That high ground already being now given up just to go straight over to the point. But if you really think about it, this is still just one fight territory. With about 30 seconds left, there's no way they're going to be able to make it through there if they lose this first one. And losing 2 people already now is not what you want to see on your defense here. This is very, very bad for them. They're not going to be able to hold this most likely here. This Maywall comes up, the immortality is down. They're just looking for picks, trying to get anything done, but it doesn't look like they're actually going to be able to take out anybody. So now not only have they lost this point, but John's the only one that's going to have an ultimate, and he's going to be able to hold the defense maybe a little bit longer. So that's really going to be your saving grace if you're on the defense here.
Well, silver linings for the defense. Empathy is on the Zen and not the Lucio, so you are going to have just a little bit longer to get that regroup in. And remember that latest, that old patch coming in if you lost B. You managed to respawn on B pretty quickly and with your team, so you do have the chance to stave off the snowball. These two Baps, they've got the amplification matrices, but it's going to be up to whoever steps out and into the line of damage.
Yeah, and right now the Maywall comes out. The amplification makes from both teams. Oasis is going to be the first one taken out. The Dragon coming through, and it looks like the defense here getting way more value out of their matrix right now. They have that immortality up behind them to make sure that they stayed up. So it looks like that first point was capped, but that second point is going to stay completely at 0.
Yeah, but 1 minute on the clock to take all of A. And a tick of B. That's so daunting for any team to be coming into. Especially if things have started to go your way, and then slowly you feel them slipping out of your fingers.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, it's still winnable for either team at this point. It's definitely not going to be out of the realm of possibility.
But you have to go into this with a composition that you're going to be sticking with. You cannot afford to go for scouts. You cannot afford to swap things up when you see what you're running into. You have to 100% wholeheartedly commit, because if you do any swap, you're not going to be able to build up those ultimates, and building up ultimates quickly is exactly what you're going to need to do.
Yeah, ultimates right now is the name of the game. With so little time on the board, the first one to really get those ultimates are going to be the ones deciding how the fight goes, who's going to be able to actually make their way through here. So this first point, what seems to be quite possibly the scariest position right now for both the offense and the defense to hold, it's going to be quite the show to see here.
I mean, my eye is on Peanut and Oasis. If any of these Mays are able to get Blizzard online, it's going to be game over for the other team.
Absolutely. Going to be making their way in here, rocking themselves the standard composition as of right now. And it looks like they're just going to be making their way up here. Going to go through the left, so they got to watch out for this Maywall. The pull comes through here to try to pick somebody off. They throw that rock in. The Maywall's up. They're going to be able to walk their way through here. They're actually going down main instead of over on the left side. So they're going to actually have that pull coming through here. Everything going down. Speaking of going down, that's 2 people now on the side of Celtic going down. And it looks like because of that, they're going to have to wait it out a little bit longer with 30 seconds remaining, too. This is just not good for them. And the ultimate buildup is going to be way better now on the defense.
And SlayerL has not had the chance to build up to that Transcendence. In fact, you're pretty much just going to have to make a sprint straight for point. And it's going to be so easy to pick someone off on the way.
Yeah, they're just trying to push up as much as they can here. They throw the Sigma Shield up. I think they're trying to get this wall use. That way they can't touch the point in time. They're trying. It doesn't quite split off the team as much as they wanted to. They make it to the point in time. So now the spots have been kind of swift. The aggressor is now the defender and vice versa. Oasis is going to be the first one down here. That defensive maze, exactly what you wanted to see taken out here if you're the offense. That immortality is down. Now that amplification matrix coming through here. They're going to be able to get a few picks here. They've used that matrix though, so they're not going to have it coming into the next point. But it's more important that they use it here and get the point instead of save it and lose. So now it is either a draw or a win for the side of Tidala.
Yeah, so you can't lose, essentially. Well, you can, but... Well, Kofuriki is gonna be having this dragon as well, so this could just completely deny them touching the point, and Slayer going down is just gonna completely deny this push, I feel.
Yeah, everybody now also falling behind. Great defense, great offense when it comes down to Temple of Anubis. We've seen this go the mile 5-5 on Anubis, but it's gonna end with a draw. So now I believe we will be going to Nepal to decide what happens.
This could not have been closer. This is absolutely one of the longest games of Overwatch. And, I mean, it's so fun to see. It really is, because these teams, they're punishing any and every mistake at the moment.
Wow, I mean, that was just the longest match ever. It actually wasn't as long as some maps feel like they've been drawn out. It was a little less than 20 minutes, so when it really comes down to it, it wasn't super long of a map, but it just kind of felt that way because they capped it with a lot of time that first round, and then the second round of the offense defense back and forth, it just kind of felt like it was brought down. So now the time bank was super low, and so those last rounds were just super fast paced. So far it's been looking pretty good, but now since we're going to be going to that King of the Hill, you got to keep your eyes on Tidala.
You have to. And again, it's gonna be the case of May. It's gonna be Nepal. We talked about it so briefly before. You have to have the walls on point. You have to have the blizzards online before the Zen hits Transcendence, and you have to pressure the Batiste. Please, for the love of Jeff Kaplan, pressure the Batiste.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be doing the full Nepal, so it's not just going to be one map. You're going to be going every single way. I cannot believe that we are still in this right now. These teams, for what looked like at that first map Oasis, it seemed like Tidala was so dominant, but now Celtic have made their way back, and it's just kind of been this back and forth, this tug of war of what feels like just two of the exact same people, the exact same build, just going back and forth with each other. It's just really coming down to who's able to hold it out the longest right now, and it's just looking like it's going to be very difficult for either of these teams to actually take away this W.
I mean, it feels like such a slugfest at the moment. I feel like we're just watching a boxing match as one player punches, one player kicks, another player gets an uppercut, and then one person slams them up against the ring. I don't really watch boxing, so maybe you're allowed to kick. I don't know, I'm just going off Wii Sports.
Yeah, it's like that recent match with, who was it? It was McGregor versus, he went up against, why can't I remember his name? It was a super big match. I literally just watched it the other day. I can't remember his last name.
Was it Logan Paul? I feel like
No.
Logan Paul's been boxing a lot.
No, it was MMA. Why can't I remember his last name? It's killing me now. I have to figure this out. Chat, I'm sure you guys know, so go ahead and say it in chat so that way everyone else can know, and I could just sit here being like, wow, I can't believe I forgot his name. But it was a big match, went all 5 rounds, and it came down to the judges, and it was super close. McGregor took it, of course. So now going into this, it kind of feels like the same way. Who's really going to become the winner of this match here? Right now, it looks like they're going to be running the same exact composition starting off here. You might want to watch out for these pulls, actually. That's something I love watching Erises do, is manage themselves a good pull here to get themselves off the map, or get the enemies off the map.
I'm really surprised neither of these guys are running the Lucio, because you can get those environmentals as well. It's going to be so easy for these Zens to just fall off those cliffs.
Yeah, and right now the pull comes through here. They try to get something with that, the rock behind. Actually, the teams are very split up right now. 3 of them over onto the point, another 3 super far back. I'm not sure how I like this. Actually, the people that are on point now are getting super focused. I think maybe that was a little bit of a misplay there. That wall stops Peanut from getting any of that immortality. They put the wall up there to make sure they themselves stay up, but they're down a man so far. It is just the Zenyatta, but now down another. Sturban going down as well, making their way back. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to hold it, but actually, both of the Mays are now down. Nah, it's all for naught. It looks like, no, they just keep throwing stuff there. I'm not quite sure what's happening. Someone just needs to make sure they're able to get this point in time. After such a long time, it looks like they're actually going to finally be able to take it, but I think that probably was put out a little bit longer than I think it should have. I thought that was going to be over 3 times over.
That should have been over really quickly, because you lose your Zen. Not only do you lose that support, you lose the Discord, and Discord puts down so much. Not just damage, but just negating all of the enemy, because you don't need to, you have to stick behind your shield. If you're a Stigma, if you get that Discord on your head, you've got to hide until it's out. And now, if you're Tidala, you can just set up on point, try and put that Discord orb onto the Orisa, In fact, no, they're just gonna take out the Sigma before his team can even get a foot on. Oh, this is painful.
Yeah, Integio was over on the other side there. He used his grasp, but he got hit with that rock, and of course everybody's just going to focus him out. The shield isn't up there, so going to be able to stall at this point a little bit longer and build up that percentage now. And $Sign is looking a lot better now, holding this point on Oasis.
Well, silver linings for Celtic Cross. Your team's taken so much damage. John has built up an amplification matrix, so they will have that onto their side, but they can probably just pull straight out of it if they see it coming.
Yeah, now Peanuts over far on the right side themselves. They threw the Sigma Shield over to try to help them out a little bit. Sturban, though, is in the back line, actually able to pick up Empathy. And now, because everybody turned around, Go3K was taken out by Sly RL. Now, it looks like finally this fight's going to be going back over to the side of Celtic, who's going to probably be able to get the point here with about 75% maybe left. It's just Oasis right now, just trying to hold out the point a little bit longer. So they build it up to about 74%. So still quite a way to try to come up, but not a bad way to stop.
Not last fight territory just yet, and you do have ultimates in your bank if you're Celtic Cross that can prolong these fights, but Oasis, he's got the heavy hitter, he's got the Blizzard, and Slayer does not have that Transcendence, which is so key, but you don't want to invest Blizzard if you've lost one of your main tanks, so if you're $, you're going to be forced to regroup, hold on to the ultimate, hope that Slayer isn't able to get his online.
Yeah, I feel like both of these Sigmas have tried to get really aggressive getting these off angles, but it just doesn't seem to work out for them. They just kind of get noticed, pulled by an Orisa, and then everybody's just focusing them, and it's just hard to support them. So as long as these Sigmas, I think, are able to stay with the team, I think that's going to be what makes sure that they're going to be able to have either good offense or good defense. But speaking of the offense, here comes that Sigma ultimate. Of course, it's going to be met with that immortality. Why would it not be? And of course, over in the backline here, on the off angle is Sturble, but of course now we have both of these Blizzards coming through here, Empathy and Sly RL using their Transcendences to make sure nothing too crazy happens. Flabberjack stuck in the air, focused down before he can even touch the ground. The dragon comes through, everybody's in this corner, so much damage is being done to them. They're going to be able to hold this point just a little bit longer now, and counting up that percentage is almost on par with T3 or T Dollar.
But it's too much again. They put the dragon in when essentially they've already won the team fight, and they could have used that ultimate to hold on to this point. Yes, it's 75% on the board. They've surpassed $, but $, they've got the superchargers, they've got the amplification matrix. There's going to be so much damage coming out from the side of these guys, and John, he's only got the amplification matrix.
Yeah, but that could be team deciding, fight winning. The Maywall is starting us off here. He put it really far back, so they're going to be able to stay on the point a little bit longer. They use that immortality so that way they can use his amplification, maybe peek out onto the point and be a lot more aggressive. Hero on the point pretty much by himself now. The Maywall actually stops it. If they notice this, it could be something. But Big Nick with a big pull is able to get Dusk off the map right now. This Bongo is going to get taken out here. Hero just trying to be what that is. Throwing that dragon, though, now down. Go3K absolutely able to pick up a quick 2. Now it looks like the point's going to be going all the way back over to $.
Well, we've seen it though. It can flip. And so you do have Celtic Cross. The door has not quite shut on this team fully. They can come into this. They're going to be coming up to serve with that dragon. We've seen that it can absolutely get those picks, especially if the team is hemmed up in those really small corridors. But again, Amplification Matrix taking it out early is the name of the game.
Yeah, and right now the pull up top to try to get something done here as they're slowly making their way over to the point. This last fight territory could be very crucial, and losing Peanut, a crucial piece to your composition here on that May. Go3K now getting another one onto John. It looks like this map is going to be over with $, taking the first round.
Well, that point was a seesaw. Essentially, at some points of that, it seemed to go back and forth and back and forth. And that's going to be $, notching up the first round of Nepal. Whether or not we are going to be headed to, Village. So once more, I don't think we're going to be seeing the Mays leaving the board, but we may well be seeing a couple of birds taking to the skies to join them.
Yeah, I think on this map, maybe we don't see that exactly happening. I'd be surprised if we don't see a Ryan from both of these teams. Ryan seems to be fairly good on this certain point, I feel. You get super close range, and I think the Sigma can definitely be transferred out with that Ryan. It looks like they are going to be doing that on the side of $, but not on the side of Celtic. So that'll be really the only distinct difference here in these teams, it looks like.
You want to talk distinct differences? There's going to be a big one. That is the Reaper versus the Hanzo once more, and we've said it before. Hanzo having that range is going to have a huge advantage on the Reaper because he can just take him out of the fight before he even gets close.
Yeah, we can see these team compositions, and we can see one slightly playing the range game more than the other here. Of course, on the point right now with T-Dollar. They're playing that close quarters game, but Sturban's playing that long range game and actually able to pick up Empathy in the back. Meanwhile, everybody was swinging. It just wasn't meant to be right now, and it looks like this close quarters game is going to be lost by this long range, but actually, with the Maywall coming up, they're going to be able to cap the point, so at least they're going to get some percentage on the board. I can't imagine that they're going to be able to hold this for too much longer, though. So right now, just stuck there on the point. Oasis just trying to make themselves a little comfy spot in the corner with that wall, but actually able to pick up a few percent before it flips back over now to Celtic.
T-Dollar's composition is a hodgepodge of both Death Ball and Bunker, and it really isn't working out for these guys. You have to fully 100% commit to one or the other if you want to match that double shielding. You have to get close, but at the same time you have to play a little bit further away if you want to find full value, and their composition is just going to tear itself apart at the seams if they continue it.
Yeah, and they see exactly where they're going right now because of that Sonic Arrow, so Dusk gets immediately taken out. And now Peanut also able to get out his counterpart over on the May. So they're going to have to already just back up, and now the percentage is just going to keep building up further and further for the side of Celtic.
Hero, if he wants to find value on the Rhine, is going to need something to back him up. Something like, say, a Zarya, or they're just going to swap off entirely, and finally, it comes on through 40% on the board for the enemy, so it's not quite too late. They can still pull this one back, but coming into this fight with all of those swaps, they've reset the ultimate economy. They've flipped the table, and if you're Celtic Cross, you're going to be taking full advantage with ultimates of your own.
Yeah, what I'd be curious to see here, make sure they keep their ult economy good by not overusing those ultimates there. You'd be coming up on quite a few, so even if they have a mid fight and they feel like they aren't immediately taking the victory with them, I'm afraid they may use a little bit too many, which is something you want to watch out for. This Dragon, though, the first thing coming through here is on kind of the wrong side, it feels like, but they did use that Immortality in response to it already. So that Immortality is probably going to go down by the time they all hit the ground. They did take a lot of damage, but of course, they're going to be there with that Baptiste healing, and now the Matrix following behind. But already, I think the damage has been done here, and it looks like they're going to be able to hold on to this point for probably a little bit longer as Hero just kind of pushes up with his Fortify, now going into last fight territory.
It's getting really close for T-Dollar. We may be going to another round of Nepal if Celtic Cross are able to keep a hold of this. And with the wealth of ultimates that they've got in their pocket and 97% on the board, surely we're going to be going to that third round.
Yep, they're just using all their ultimates right now to make sure no one can get on the point, stopping Ko3K from getting on there. And now, just like you said, we're going into one final round. This round to decide quite literally all of it. No possible way of a draw. So this one round is going to decide how this whole night goes.
Well, Village was a lot more of a washover than we got to see of that first round of Nepal of Shrine, of Sanctum. My apologies. Because instead of that 99 to 100, it was 13% to 100. It was almost a sort of stump as soon as Celtic Cross had sat up on the point. And most of that was down to T-Dollar trying to go the 50-50 and have the best of both worlds. And in Overwatch, you can have your cake, but you can't always eat it.
Yeah, and now going into this, it looks like they're both going to be deciding to go with this stable composition to end us off here. Who's going to be able to get this first pick? It seems like whoever controls the point at first seems to have the advantage overall. And right now, it looks like one team is heading straight for the point, and now the other one heading over to the side here. We can see Celtic are just kind of trying to take a little bit of this side positioning. Maybe they just kind of want to play more of this pillar in the middle here wall. Meanwhile, Sturban is trying to get an off angle. Another pause has come through here, so quite possibly another DC. Be very unfortunate, especially right about now.
Oh, Hero is apparently disconnected, and that is gonna be his portrait disappearing and leaving the game. So if you're T-Dollar, you are down one of your tanks. It would have been so much better if it was someone like, say, Ko3K. Yes, you would lose the damage, but now you've lost the stability. Now you've lost one of those layers of shielding. And with this patch coming through, they're so fragile, Porzak. They're going to crumble like shards of broken glass and dreams.
Yeah, losing anybody would have been absolutely detrimental to them, and especially losing a main tank like Orisa, who has so much sustain by themselves with that Fortify, doing that 50% damage reduction. It's going to make it so much more difficult for them going into this fight, and I don't see them coming out winning what's going to be this 5v6 here in a second.
Well, you're essentially going to be forced to pick up Hammond if you really want to get into the team fight and back to your team. Otherwise, you risk staggering yourself out with your slow movement speed.
Yeah, and it looks like they're making a smart decision as in backing up right now and just waiting for them to come back. But right now, Ko3K is being really aggressive right now. He might get taken out, actually. He does, in fact, get taken out. So not only did they have to wait for Hero, but now they got to wait for him all the way coming back from spawn again.
Yeah, and unfortunately you're going to be behind in Ultimate Economy as well. Peanut is so much closer to that Blizzard than Oasis, already 15% above the other Mei, and if you can get that online before Empathy is able to reach that Transcendence, you know you've got a one team fight, especially if you can focus that lamp down.
Yeah, right now they had to use this Mei wall just to try to get a little bit more aggressive here. But these shields are just going down too fast, and now Koa again going down right before the fight's even going to be able to break out too much. They use the Immortality already. The Mei wall already back up in front of their face right now. Sly RL just kind of looking for an offense, just trying to get a little bit of pick in. Sturban doing the same thing. The Matrix comes through here, so they're trying to look for a lot of damage output right now. Peanut stuck on top of that wall, might be able to get taken out, but not quite. The Immortality's down. They're just kind of dancing around it right now, not trying to get too aggressive. They know that Matrix was up, and now that it's down, they're going to get a little bit more aggressive, especially now that they're missing that Sigma. As they go in further, though, Koa3K came over on the left side. They weren't expecting him to come back so soon. Sturban gets taken out, so now maybe they have a chance to do something, but missing that Baptiste is a lot of heals, and all those heals now gone now as Ventagio takes everyone out.
Yeah, unfortunately, you weren't able to get that flip in that you were hoping, and with 70% on the board and counting for Health Celtic Cross, you are looking like you're getting towards that last fight territory, and it's not going to get any easier. These guys, they have to climb an absolute mountain. Looking at the ultimates that are coming online, and Peanut is going to make sure that they're feeling the cold as they try to ascend.
I don't understand why he was all the way down there by himself. He wasn't with the team at all. I'm not quite sure what the thought process behind that was. Maybe he just spawned a little bit later, but right now this dragon going through, the Immortality is already down. It looks like it might already be over for them as they're trying to run it over to touch the point. Is anybody going to be able to touch in time? That was the question, and no one is. And now finally, this match, which was held on to for so long, brings with the winners of Celtic Cross.
Well, we were promised a close match, but that last round was not close at all. Unfortunately, T-Dollar, they just didn't really seem to be able to get a foot in after that disconnect. And it's not just losing a player, it's also putting you in that mindset where you're already one person down. You know that you're going to be going into a fight against 6 whole players. You're going to have to pull out, you're going to have to give timeout, and you're already going to be on the back foot, and they just never seem to be able to recover.
Yeah, and I mean, I think what's really interesting about this is the fact that we kind of saw like these positioning issues in that last round. It kind of felt like, you know, Koa3K was a little bit too far up when everybody was backing off after the hero DC, and now we had Dusk that was all by himself down below. So when Peanut used his ult, I don't think it was meant to be a one-man ultimate. I think it was meant to try to get the whole team and push up there to try to stop them from touching the point, but Dusk was the only one down there, so he just kind of got the brunt of, or the front of it, and got taken out immediately before the fight could even begin. So I don't know, I think going forward into this, I think they just need to work on positioning. I think positioning is kind of what made this game that deciding factor in the end there.
Well, we saw Sturban going on some really crazy flanks, and not always to set the ultimates up, but to try and get picks off. And it's only really towards the tail end of that last round that he gets properly punished, and the opposing handler seeches him out and actually manages to put the arrow into his skull. If they've maybe started doing that just a little bit earlier and punishing this DPS for thinking that he has the right to be able to go away from his team, survive, and find value from it, we could be looking at something that was a little less close.
Yeah, and now as we wait here for your MVP to join us in the call, I'd also like to give out a quick thanks to Arc Mana for the tier 1 sub for about 6 months now. Thank you. And this is a quick reminder to everybody before we bring in the interview. Thank you guys so much for all the support today. We've really appreciated it. Don't forget, follow, subscribe, go to our YouTube, Twitter, you know, just our Discord. Come hang out, you know, everybody's in there. You're going to be able to find at least another player to try to queue with Overwatch if you really wanted to, or just kind of keep up with the discussion and everything that's kind of going on inside of Star Esports.
Yeah, just drop us a message. We can banter for about 2 hours on why everyone hates Mei. Everyone loves to hate Mei, right? She's one of the things in Overwatch that people just detest.
Yeah, I mean, Mei's a very strong character right now, and with even the recent nerfs coming in, I don't see her really leaving that position. So we're going to have probably another little while of us not really being too happy with Mei. So when Overwatch League will come around, maybe we'll see Mei not be used, but I'd be very surprised if she wasn't.
I mean, with that ultimate, the way that it's staying, and them not downsizing it, and them not changing the fact that it CCs, them not changing the fact that it also damages, I don't think she's going to be going away anytime soon.
Yeah, I think she's just way too powerful, and now, I mean, I don't really know what exactly they could do to buff other characters, because it just kind of seems like their way to go about it. It's not nerf the characters that have been really meta and kind of like nerf them to make sure that they aren't meta anymore. It's just kind of like, maybe we'll touch them up a little bit, but hey, we'll buff this character that's absolutely not meta right now. So that way, when these do come out of meta, then they're going to be overpowered. I mean, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just noticing something a little off, but I don't know. I think maybe they could have gone a little more harsh with nerfs and just kind of seen how it went.
But when I read the message and I heard that they were tampering around with Mei and Baptiste, me being a Baptiste main, I got a little bit worried, but at the same time, I see that it's 100% completely called for, because Baptiste is in the place where Mercy was when Overwatch began, which is if you don't have him on the team, you are essentially at this level already throwing your match.
Yeah, I mean, especially when Mercy was new, to go in there and just kind of be like, res the whole team after the enemy team used 5 ults and you just use 1 and everybody's suddenly back just because you hit in a corner. Now it kind of has that same feeling with Immortality, because you can just hide it behind a wall and they can use 3 ults, but if that Immortality isn't gone, then no one is going to die.
Yeah, it does definitely harken back to those times when people would go on the forums and rage about, I did a Death Blossom and I got a 5k, and then she just came flying in and she was invincible and we couldn't do anything about it, and she stole my play of the game. But we do actually have our answer, who we're going to be joined with, and I have to agree with chat today. It's not always that we come to an agreement, but Big Nick is going to be
hello.
And well-deserved. Congratulations, you are absolutely amazing, dude.
Thank you. It was a tough one. It was very tough, but our team, I'm just so proud of them. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable how we played today.
It's unbelievable that you kept your cool for that entire game. So congratulations to that. And I have to ask, was there any secret? How did you guys keep staying focused through all of those times?
I'm just doing my best to stay PMA like always. That's what most of my chat knows from my streams. I'm super PMA. Try and get my boys ready. Try and get them, make their heads level. Try and get all the calls. My throat hurts because I've been screaming this whole time. But it's been a hell of a game, hell of a series. So I thank you guys for having us. It's been awesome.
Well, I'm sure Puzzlet can relate to the throat hurting. This guy has been diligently paid by playing all of those contests, all of those team fights, managing to just slog on through just like you guys. And I mean, looking back at that match, there were so many amazing moments that stood out with so many amazing plays. But you were the one who actually were doing them. So what moment really stood out for you?
So really, the main thing is just, I was noticing today, I was just getting insane value out of all of my pulls. Pretty much, majority of the pulls are getting picks, and that's always a good sign. When you're getting value out of your pulls, you're gonna win games. It's just how it is in this current meta, and it's just unreal. They were following up on every pull, getting a pick on the Sig or whoever was going up at that time, and we're just a team of 6 raid bosses. It's just how it is.
And Orisa we've just really heard about it today. She's going to be hit with a couple of nerfs, especially to that Fortify. Do you think that this is going to dislodge her from her place at the forefront of meta, or do you think she's still going to be very strong in the game?
No, I don't think meta's going to change at all, honestly. I personally just think it's going to be the same as it is now. Orisa's I'm just going to have to personally play a little bit more passive with that 10% reduction. But overall, I think I'm excited to go into this next match against Pulse Mafia, and it's going to be a blast.
You hear that, Pulzak? We're probably not going to be getting
revenge.
to see the Rhine Zarya for a very long time.
Try and get revenge. Pulse Mafia did beat us in our first tournament ever, so we're looking to get that revenge on them.
Yeah,
we'll see.
You might just want to try to get and go for there. And as you were talking about earlier, your throat kind of hurts. You're doing a lot of the shot calling. Is it just kind of you that does that shot calling, or is it like you have different people for different sorts of calls?
We have a whole comp structure. It's mainly me doing shot calling and pathing. So during team fights, and I'm just screaming so loud, and it's just a lot of it's hectic. Our comms are known for being extremely hectic, but it works. It's controlled chaos.
Nice.
It's great.
Yeah, that's something you're probably going to want to see in a really good team, is making sure that those comms kind of stay up there. I know you talk about you're very PMA, and this match went on for so long. I mean, was there any point where you were like, okay, we probably could have ended this if maybe we did this a little bit differently? Or do you think it was just kind of like we played everything, I think, to the best standards that we could have in that given situation?
Obviously, we look back on a lot of our mistakes, but as our coach, Overwatch Anchor, says, we have a GG Go Next mentality. That's basically what we do with everything, is no matter what happens, just GG Go Next.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is what it is. Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, the past
You
is in
learn
the
from it and
past.
go on.
Yeah, you can just learn from it, walk forward, understand that's how it is sometimes, I mean, what a crazy match, honestly, to watch here. I was expecting this to go quite a ways to keep it the 50-50, but to see it go all the way to map 6 in best of 5, that's not something we get to see here all the time. That was very entertaining to watch. So thanks for putting on a great show. And
Can I give a quick shout out to our coaches and our org staff, Bosox, Overwatch Anchor, Claptrap, and the rest of the guys on the team. You're all amazing. So thank you guys for everything you've given me. I love you guys. So thank you.
How
thank
heartfelt. That's a great way to do it. I mean, I don't have any more questions. Moxie, do you?
I'm not a tank player myself. Do you have any tips for anyone who wants to get on that solo queue ladder and try to forge their way up the ranks as tank?
Calm your heart out. Just calm. You'll climb to GM on Orisa if you calm.
Well, you heard it here, folks. Grab those microphones, start being a little bit more social. It's been wonderful to hear from you. Once again, congratulations on the victory. Go get some good sleep, because I think you deserve lots of rest after that one.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming in. Have a good one.
Yeah, so,
Alright.
Porzak, that was one heck of a match, and it just went on and on and on, and I loved every single moment of it.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I think we're going to have to call this cast for an end. But don't be too upset. At 9:25, we're going to be hitting you with the next one. I've been Poor Zach, your play-by-play. You can see me over at Twitch, Poor Zach. You can find my other forms of media there. Moxie, where they can find you?
Well, you can come stalk me on Twitter, say hello, my DMs are always open, and you can find me at GotMoxie.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. Don't forget to follow Star Esports. Find our social medias. Join us on Discord. We really do appreciate it. We'll be seeing you all later.